There is a popular fairy tale about a kind girl whose father remarried, about how 5 people, including the heroine's 2 half-sisters, become one big family. Their heroine falls under the oppression of her evil stepmother and sisters. Cinderella lost her parents at an early age. She was also abused by her stepmother and sisters. And if there was a god in this world, she wanted to tell him. What the hell is he doing? The girl understands that she has often seen similar stories about exchanges in TV series, but in most cases, the girls were reborn, either as the main characters, or as evil rivals, or as the main character's sisters. At worst, it is a minor character of the same age as the main character. But the girl thinks why exactly she was reborn as this character, because it's a blow below the belt. She is the enemy of all heroes in fairy tales, and this is a story that cannot be changed. Because she is a stepmother, her husband, who was Cinderella's father, was thrown into eternal sleep. Fred Bruns was a wealthy man who sailed away 2 years ago to develop international trade. And then he went missing, and the girl woke up in this body, and a couple of days after the letter was received about it, that her husband's inanimate body was found. The woman is certain that the 37-year-old billionaire, who had been married twice and lost her husband twice, did not feel love for Fred. She only married him for his money and looks. And besides, it's not that easy to raise 2 daughters alone. However, this man fell into eternal sleep 2 years ago, taking half of Mildred's property. The main character realizes that a week has already passed, and she was furious with him and what she had to face during this time, but she could not do anything except get used to this situation. Lady Messi is ready and understands that everything has already been decided, and she has no choice but to simply accept this fact. But then she realizes that she is still furious. If she meets the one who did all this to her, she will show him her heroic strength. The lady also did not think that her hobby from her past life could be useful in this world. She also understands that she wants to surf the internet and seems to hear the vibration of the phone. The lady continues to knead the dough and realizes that it would be great if it were a phone. At that very moment, someone turns to Mother, but she thinks that they are turning to her and thinks that Mother should respond already. After which, this lady comes straight to the main character, causing her to grab the dough. The girl asks, "What is it?" and her daughter replies that she is done cleaning. This pilot is the eldest daughter named Iris Brands. The main character says that it is clear, and the girl is great, but she wonders what about Lily. Her daughter replies that she is tidying up her cleaning tools. The protagonist realizes that Mildred's only mistake is that she is not sticking men out correctly. Her first husband was kind and rich but very ugly. The girl also thinks that she can ask what the problem is. Well, it consists in the fact that the daughters inherited his appearance, and Mildred knew that her second husband was a significant rich man. Might not have become a wicked stepmother if her husband had not taken half of the property. Under the pretext of developing a new business, Mildred now has to take care of her adult daughters at night. In this huge and old house, the main character thinks that apparently God just hates her. She hits the dough again, but then the other daughter turns to her mother and asks if she can help her with something. This lady is the middle daughter named Lily Bruns. Mildred says that Lily asks just in time if she can pass her a plate. The girl does just that, after which she smells freshly baked bread and says that it smells very tasty. At this point, the main character claims that everything is almost baked and carefully covers the dough. Lily says that she didn't know that her mother could bake bread. The main character understands that, of course, she didn't know, because the real Mildred didn't even know how to cook eggs. The woman says to be careful, and she will teach her to bake bread, because in the future it will be necessary. The woman thinks that it is. Surprisingly, Mildred did not know how to run a house at all, and was inept at washing clothes and washing dishes. Although she did not live in complete prosperity, she was a countess, and after her wedding, she became the wife of a rich baron. Mildred always used servants in the household, and she was free only to supervise the work process. Instead of her, they cooked food and cleaned the house, and therefore she thinks that this is the dream of all the women from her past world. But the second husband was on the way to the collapse of his business, and most likely Mildred did not know about it. In 37 years, she has already lost 2 husbands and has 3 daughters to look after, including Fred's daughter. So it is possible that the real Mildred is saying the same thing before God now. But the main character thinks, isn't this too much? She wonders why they are treating her like this. At this time, someone else turns to Mother, and when the main character turns around, then he realizes that this is Cinderella. This girl is the one Mildred hated. Anyone who finds themselves in Mildred's place will be able to understand her. The main character at this time tells the girl to serve the plates. Mildred also realizes that this is the daughter that Fred left behind when he fell into eternal sleep. Mildred had to raise a child that was alien to her father and her husband. The woman understands why the stepmother hated Cinderella. At this time, the girl accidentally breaks a plate, after which she apologizes to her mother and says that she will clean everything up. But when she turns around, she also accidentally catches on other plates and turns them over as well. The main character only sighs heavily and understands that this is another reason for Mildred's hatred. Ashley was absent-minded and clumsy. The blonde apologizes at this point, and the main character turns to Lily. Her daughter agrees and says she's going to run and get a broom and dustpan. Mildred turns to Ashley and tells her to stop. After all, she is Cinderella, not Sleeping Beauty. The girl then asks what her mother is talking about. The main character understands that it will be very difficult if Cinderella turns into Sleeping Beauty, because then she will have to sleep for 100 years. After which the main character replies that nothing, and understands that she just wants to go to some quiet and peaceful place after Cinderella marries the prince. One of the daughters at this time turns to the mother, and then 2 daughters clean up the broken plates. The blonde says that she will clean everything herself, but the woman replies that it is not necessary and that she should go and set the table. A little while later, the main character approaches the table, but when she sees that it is not set, then he wonders why the girl hasn't put her things on the table yet. The blonde turns to her mother at this time, and he claims that they have a guest. The main character asks if this is really true, and the girl replies that he came from the palace. The other 2 daughters quickly come out from around the corner and ask who has come to see them. The woman understands that, after her marriage to Fred, who does not belong to a noble family, Mildred has distanced herself from social life, and it is unlikely that anyone from the palace can come there. Well, then the main character thinks that this is Cinderella, and she will have to go to the palace and also lose the slipper. The main character claims that she will come out to him, after which she heads there, and her daughters quietly follow her. When Mildred goes outside, she realizes that this is the attire of a person serving at court. The main character asks if he has arrived from the palace, to which the guys answer that he has, and asks if he can see Mrs. Brands. The woman replies that it is she and asks him to come into the house. Hi is surprised and wonders if she is Mrs. Brands. The main character understands that of course Mildred looks young and beautiful, but it is impolite to be so surprised. The servant thanks the Iceman and claims that he simply needs to give her a letter, and when he does so, he says goodbye to her. When he leaves, the other daughters ask their mother what the matter is and why he came. The woman looks at Cinderella and realizes that because she can't get any closer, she seems so poor. Mildred then says that they will discuss it at the table. A little while later, they begin to eat, and the woman distributes bread to everyone. One of the daughters turns to her mother and tells her to open the letter quickly. The woman agrees and understands that previously the servants were responsible for opening the letters, but Mildred fired everyone and freed up all the work for Cinderella. That's why she acts so cautiously. When the woman takes out the letter, she claims that it is from the palace, and they are invited to a debut at the palace. One of the daughters asks if this is true, and when it will take place, and Mildred understands that it will be in 2 months. According to the woman's experience, soon all the famous clothing stores will be in full swing, and now she really feels like she's in Cinderella's world. One of the daughters turns to their mother and asks if they will go. The woman replies, "Of course," and all four of them. After this, the daughters ask if it was really all four of them, and the main character replies that it is. And he says indifferently that their names are on the invitation, including Ashley's. Well, when one of the daughters is about to object, the other kicks her as if to tell her to shut up. At this time, the main character turns to Ashley and asks if she has a dress, to which the girl replies that she doesn't. Mildred says that they will go shopping tomorrow. Then the girl asks if they will really make a dress for them, and the main characters do not answer. That they would most likely have to buy fabric and sew everything by hand. The girl realizes that most of Mildred's property consisted of jewelry. If they sold them, they could make money, but Mildred was unable to do so. This is the dowry and gifts from other people that Mildred was going to sell and give the proceeds to Iris and Lily for their weddings. There is also a small building, the rent of which can cover the expenses of the entire family. The girl understands that she has such a strange feeling, and in her past life, she dreamed of her own home. But now, she thinks that if Mildred lived modestly, she would not have problems with money even living in such a big house. Mildred thinks that in that case, she would be happier than her. But the main character understands that she does not know. Although I have preserved Mildred's memories, well, she can't clearly see all the moments of her life and is not capable of more. The woman claims that it is not good for only girls to live in the house, and that they should not dare to tell anyone that there are four of them living in this house. Cinderella asks why. Mildred understands that this girl is the main character of the fairy tale, and she is sure that the lady does not even imagine how dangerous this world is. Mildred replies that there are many reasons for this. The girl understands that if there is a God in this world, then who knows, maybe he transferred her into Mildred's body so that she could save her and these three girls. The woman claims that if people find out that they live alone in this huge house, then someone might come to them with evil intentions. After which the main character talks about this and understands that perhaps this is exactly what she should do in this world. The girl also hands her daughters a salad and claims that they shouldn't eat just bread. A little while later, one of the daughters approaches her mother and asks if she has ever been to the city. The woman replies that it has been a long time and understands that after Fred left, Mildred spent 2 years without leaving the mansion. It's good when you don't have a picky character, but the main character went a little dry after spending a week in the house. Some might think that Mildred has a bad character. A little while later, the girls turn to their mother and tell her to take a look. The main character tells them not to run far and to stick together, after which they enter the city. The eldest daughter turns to her mother and asks if she should invite the new girls. The main characters do not answer that it is not worth it because they are together, so everything is fine. Iris then asks if mother really wants Ashley and Lily to become friends. The main character replies that if possible, after all they are sisters, and there is nothing wrong with that. Well, when her daughter wants to say something else, then suddenly someone pushes Mildred. Iris immediately runs to her mother. She asks if she's okay, and the guy who pushed Mildred just offers a casual apology. The girl then turns to the guy and starts running after him, and also claims that she needs to ask for forgiveness if he offended someone, but the boy claims that he has already apologized. Iris asks if he really thinks this is an apology and if he is joking. But the guy asks if something is wrong, and the girl asks if he knows how to ask for forgiveness. The main character understands that when Iris argues with someone, she gets really angry. Well, that's right, because if this kid is unfamiliar with the rules of decency, then you need to catch up with him and teach him a lesson. When the main character is about to get up, someone helps her and claims that it was awkward. The stranger also asks if she is okay and also claims that he will pay for the treatment. Mildred wonders why on earth he addresses her informally, after which she even asks if they know each other. The man asks what she is talking about, and the main character repeats once again that she asked if they were friends. The woman also wonders why he addresses her informally, since he even looks younger than her. Mildred understands that this is complete chaos, because she feels her knees burning, and apparently her inner skirt has also torn. At this time, the guy asks to forgive him without quotation, after which he suggests to move away because it is too crowded there. Mildred realizes that this bastard is constantly speaking in a commanding tone. Iris is still arguing with the guy at this time and tells him to apologize properly. Mildred thinks what a great girl her daughter is. The stranger turns to the Summer and says that if she doesn't mind. The main character interrupts him and replies that she also understands that at first it seemed to her that he was blonde. Well, this guy looks very handsome. Mildred tells him not to interfere because the children will sort out the zone themselves. When the guy is about to object, the main character does not answer that there are no buts. She understands that Iris can handle this herself. The girl at this time pulls the guy to her mother and tells him to apologize to her. At this time, the young man asks if this is really her mother, Tanya, the acquaintance who is standing next to the main character. He asks if she is not a sister, but a mother. Mildred pats him on the shoulder and says that it is so. The woman also asks the baby how about an apology, and he looks awkwardly at his father, after which he bows and offers the lady his deepest apologies, and also hopes that she will be able to forgive his such disrespectful behavior. The guy also tells the lady that he is ready to do anything just to make amends to her, and even if she wishes for heaven. But at that very moment, the guy's father grabs him and apologizes. He also claims that he hopes that now the lady will be able to forgive him, and he will compensate for the damages for the ruined dress. The man claims that he would like to invite the lady to his place so that she can relax a little. Well, across the street, there is a restaurant called the Fairy Tale Fountain, and if she gives them this ring, she can order any dish she likes. The main character, looking at the ring, thinks whether it would not be more profitable to simply sell it, but at the same moment, her interlocutor adds that it will be difficult to sell. The woman asks, why is it enchanted in some way? But the guy just says goodbye to her. Iris says that these people are strange, and Mildred asks her daughter if she has ever seen a similar pattern, to which she replies that she has not. The woman understands that she is seeing such symbolism for the first time, and remembers most of the family symbols, but not this one. At this time, Iris notices that this ring doesn't fit on the other finger either, but the main game doesn't answer that she will have to wear it on her thumb, even though she doesn't like its shape. At that moment, someone else turns to Mother, and it turns out to be Ashley, along with Lily. The main character asks if they came back, and also if they found anything interesting. Ashley claims that they sell cheap flour there. But at this time, the other daughter notices her mother's torn dress and wonders if she has gotten hurt. Iris replies that her mother fell when some idiot pushed her. Ashley at this time worriedly suggests going back, but the main characters answer that they don't. She understands that Cinderella can easily make a prince fall in love with her and marry him. But for Iris and Lily, such an appearance in society is a good opportunity to meet a worthy match. The woman thinks that everything is fine, and her leg is just a little bit on fire, but she can go on. An hour later, the girl regretted what she told me, and she wondered why they came across such a strange store. When the woman went into one of the stores, the man simply insisted that they don't sell such things, and don't accept returns of clothes either. In their day, women had only vanity on their minds. Mildred claimed that their shop did not seem good enough to make a gown for the palace, and did not even know how to behave with noble ladies. After which, she suggested that the girls go, because for once they had gotten out into the city and wandered into such a wretched place. The man then asked them to wait. But now the main character understands that because of her stubbornness, she forces herself to walk by force, but her legs have become weak and hurt more than before, so she hopes that she hasn't rubbed her ankle. The woman also thinks about what the man was talking about, and whether he was talking about a fairy tale fountain, and also wonders whether they have already passed it. At this time, another woman notices the state of the main character and asks what happened. She immediately approaches the lady and asks if everything is okay with her. The stranger claims that there is a shop there and she will help them, so let the lady pass. A little while later, they enter the store, and the woman tells the lady to sit down there while she gets some water and a towel. When she comes with water, she asks why Miss is still standing, and the main character sits down on a chair. The woman also claims that she will examine her wound, and when she does so, she claims that there is nothing serious there. So let Miss smear mouse droppings with honey, and everything will go away. The main character asks what she needs to smear, and the woman repeats that mouse droppings with honey, and if she doesn't have enough money for honey, then droppings will be enough. The main character understands that she heard about dog droppings being used in medicines. Well, like a mouse, the girl thinks that you can go crazy like that, and she will never smear it. She turns to the lady and claims that everything is fine. You see, it is enough to just wash the wound. The woman then says that she will do as the lady says, and asks what to do since her dress is ruined. Mildred thanks her for her help and claims that her plant is Mildred Brands. These girls are her daughters. The stranger also introduces herself and claims that her name is Dabina and that she is also a seamstress. Ashley asks what a dressmaker is, after which the main character replies that these are people who create clothes, but the girl claims that there is no fabric in this store. The woman replies that the fabric is in another room and asks if he would like to take a look around. The main character agrees, but when she gets up, Dabina claims that she should not get up yet. Mildred claims that she actually tripped while they were looking for clothes, so the woman asks if she can look at the fabric. Dabina asks how it is interesting for whom the lady is choosing an outfit, for herself or for one of her daughters. The woman replies that to begin with, all the daughters are invited to the debut at the palace. Dabina asks if she really needs a dress for her debut at the palace, because if so, then she can't. But the main character wonders if she is not a dressmaker. The woman replies that this is true, but it is a palace and also a debut. She also asks the lady to have mercy on her because she did not know that she was from a noble family. But the main character turns to the lady and tells her to get up, because even though she is from a noble family, her husband is a commoner. But the dressmaker claims that the lady said that she was invited to the palace. Mildred repeats once again that everything is fine and invites the lady to stand up, after which she pulls her by the hand. The main character understands that the debut that will take place in the palace is a place for young people of noble birth who have reached marriageable age to meet. Most likely the reason why Ashley, whose parents are commoners, was invited is because the pandemic has killed many nobles, and the number of unmarried people has sharply decreased. Mildred thinks it's still unpleasant when someone falls on their knees just because you're a member of a noble family. The main character claims that, as she already said, in 2 months, the debut will take place in the palace, and they will go to the palace in the evening. So she wants to ask the lady to prepare the shells for them, and wonders if she has any problems. But the woman is only interested in whether her dresses will be in the palace, and the main character says, well, here's the reason. She realizes that it is a very small store, and that it may never have served a noble before. After which, Mildred tells Dabina that she wants everyone in the palace to be unable to take their eyes off her daughters. If the dresses are not suitable for the reception at the palace, they will simply wear others, so let the lady not refuse her. Mildred realizes that if they order the dress from another store, it will be too expensive, so she wonders if she should hint to her to put all her efforts into the work. The woman then turns to the lady and asks if she would like to look at the fabric samples. The main character smiles and understands that this is what she needs and asks to show it. A little while later, someone greets Mildred, and the main character thanks Sandy for the invitation. The Count's wife then thanks the main character for coming. Mildred, he understands that Sandra is the wife of Mildred's older brother. They have known each other well since Mildred's last name was Murphy, and after Fred's disappearance. For 2 years, Mildred refused every invitation from Sandra, and apparently this woman was worried about Mildred since she sent so many letters. Now the main character thanks her for the invitation and understands that she thought for a long time whether to accept this invitation. Well, the marriage of children directly depends on the position of the parents in society. So, for the sake of the children, she had to appear at the social evening. The woman also understands that her heart was filled with anxiety and worries, and now she is comforted by the thought that Sandra was thinking about her all this time, no matter how ironic it may sound. The reason is not in her at all. She often could not sleep because she felt responsible for the future of the children. The girl wondered what would happen if Iris and Lily couldn't get married. And what if Ashley hated Mildred for using her as a servant for a year and a half? And even if Iris and Lily are lucky and can get married, what will happen if their husbands are of the same origin as Fred? Well, the girl knows that Iris and Lily love her, but that doesn't make it any easier for her. Sandra, at this time, tells the lady to go ahead because Gary is already there. She will come a little later and introduce her to the others. The main character nods and understands that she still needs to tell that Fred's body was found. Well, she will do it after dinner before leaving home. A little while later, Mildred already sees her brother and claims that he has gained a little weight. The guy replies that he lost weight last year and gained it back via a decline, which is terrible for him. And the woman says that apparently his cook has golden hands. The guy replies that a new establishment has recently opened, and they serve amazing dishes there. Mildred claims that it must be a very popular place. Her brother replies that this is true and suggests that she go there sometime with Sandy. After all, this place is called the Fairy Fountain. Mildred asks where it is, and the man is interested in the unusual summer name, a restaurant called the Fairy Tale Fountain, owned by Baron Walford. He is young, but he has outstanding abilities. Mildred asks if he means to say that a member of a noble family runs a restaurant on his own. She also thinks that no one knows that physical labor is humiliating. But the man claims that he doesn't think that this guy is doing all the business on his own, and she will understand everything herself when she meets him, because he is a very unusual young man. Mildred asks, what does it mean that she will understand when they meet? And does he really know him? And the guys answer that he has a lot of connections. The man also asks if she knew that he was the Dowager Queen's godson. Mildred is thinking about the Dowager Queen and wondering if she is the Baron's godmother when someone else approaches them from behind. And he claims that his mother is said to have been very close to the Queen. Mildred asks if he really thinks that since his godmother is the Queen herself, he has the right to sneak up on him from behind and butt into someone else's conversation. Well then, the main character sees this guy and understands something. After all, he is the same one she ran into on the street. The man says how lucky he is that he had the opportunity to apologize for the last time. Then he takes the lady's hand and asks if she will let him kiss her. Mildred wonders if he has gone crazy. At this time, the lady's brother asks if they already know each other, and the main character replies that they don't. But her interlocutor replies that yes. Mildred claims that they ran into each other a couple of days ago on the street, but that day they didn't even have time to introduce themselves to each other. The lady's brother then asks if she went outside, after which the girl nods. And her brother realizes that he just said something disrespectful and decides to change the subject and introduces his sister to the Baron. He also asks the Baron to allow him to introduce his younger sister, Mildred Brands. Mildred's husband went missing 2 years ago, so she was out of public view for a while. The guy then asks if this means she is Mrs. Brands, to which the lady replies that this is true, and asks if he finally wants to let go of her hand. The guy asks again if he can kiss her, and the main character understands that he has definitely gone crazy, after which she replies, of course. Mildred understands that he meant her hand, and it's a good thing she didn't blurt out anything unnecessary, after which the guy approaches her hand and kisses it, claiming that the lady can call him Daniel. The girl removes her hand and tells him to call her Mrs. Brands, and also addresses him as Baron Walford. At this time, the lady's brother says that it is so good that they already know about him, and in that case, he will go and greet the guests. After he goes, there Daniel invites the lady to go for a walk, The main character is silent for a while and then claims that she was told that the guy is controlled by an outflow called the fairy fountain. The young man replies that not really, and he wanted to share the dishes he tried abroad, so he simply trained a chef and opened a restaurant. The main character asks if this means management, and the guy replies that the restaurants are managed by someone else. He also says that the lady seems to want to close her eyes and sighs discontentedly to something, and replies that, a little. The guy then asks if she is disappointed in him. The main game does not answer that this is their first meeting, and including their dialogue, they have only known each other for a couple of minutes. They even learned each other's names only recently, so the girl asks why he thinks that she could be disappointed in him. The guy then asks her if she has been to the fairy tale fountain, yet to which she replies that yes, and she thought it would be more profitable to sell the ring. But the young man only laughs after that. Mildred asks what's wrong with him and blushes a little. The lady also realizes that his muscles have become hard. And then the guy apologizes, and the woman asks if she said something funny. Well, he just asks if he didn't say that it would be difficult to sell the ring. Mildred claims that's why she asked if Onu was bewitched, and claims it's not funny. The guy then claims that it seems she hasn't thought about selling yet, and the main character understands that this is true because she hasn't thought about it yet. All this time she was busy cleaning the mansion with the girls. In his spare time, he and Dabina were thinking about dress designs. Mildred asks why he said it was hard to sell, and can something really happen to her if she wants to sell the ring. The guy just smirks and tells Miss that no. The main character wonders what then, and the guy replies that if she wanted to sell it, he would have found out about it right away. Mildred says that it looks like it will really cast a spell. She also tells the guy to stop laughing all the time and slaps him on the hand. He then apologizes to Mildred, but the girl tells him to call her Mrs. Brands, and he agrees, and also calls her that. He asks for forgiveness and claims that he had no intention of making fun of the lady, and he's just surprised that she doesn't know anything about him. Mildred asks if he's some kind of famous person, and the guy replies that maybe yes and maybe no. The main character then wonders if he is famous or not. The girl also apologizes to the Baron and asks how long he has been attending social events. Daniel claims that if she is interested in his age, then he is quite suitable for accompanying her. Mildred claims that of course the ladies can be accompanied by anyone who has made his debut, and since he is over 20 and also wants to accompany her, then she will not be against being there. In this case, the guy asks to be allowed to accompany her, and the main character says that it is not worth making fun of elders. Daniel claims that the lady will be very surprised when she finds out how he behaves in the presence of elders. The lady's brother raises his glass at this point and thanks everyone for coming. A little while later, he turns to Mildred, and she says that she seems to have become friends with Walford. The girl replies that she hasn't really, and the man says that it might sound strange. Well, it's best to stay away from him. Mildred asks why, and if he's really a monster that eats people, and her brother replies that strange things always happen to those he doesn't like. Mildred asks if he means that the Baron tortures those he doesn't like, and the man replies that he does not torment them, and how to say they are simply overtaken by bad luck. The woman wonders if this is happening because of Baron Walford. Sandra claims that he, of course, is not to blame for this, but people who have had difficulties diligently avoid him. So let Laylee be careful and not get close to him. Mildred asks why then did her brother invite such a terrible man, and the man replies that he has many connections and a talent for doing business, and he is also very insightful. Sandra claims that he is said to be good at judging people and things. Mildred asks if this is true and realizes that Mildred's house is full of antiques. Fred bought these things along with a companion that belonged to a ruined aristocrat, so the girl thinks whether to ask him to look at these things. She understands that it would be nice to sell them all at a good price. The lady's brother at this time says that if she gets close to him, her standards will rise and it will not be good. Sandra immediately turns to her husband, but the main character also tells her brother to repeat it again. The man replies that this man is handsome, and she is still young, so the guy asks how long she will sit and wait for Fred. Mildred thinks that she certainly understands that Gary is worried about Mildred, but this is too much. The lady tells her brother that she does not intend to wait for Fred, since they were recently informed that his body was found. Sandra then turns to Mill and asks if she is okay about the main character. She replies that everything is fine. After all, she knew that sooner or later, this day would come. The main character understands that Mildred knew about it too, and either Fred would return or his body would be found. Well, she still hoped that he would return alive. The lady's brother apologizes at this time, and the girl replies that it is not yet known whether he is truly sorry. Mildred understands that her brother is not always sincere when it comes to apologies. And perhaps, even now, he is looking for a new candidate for the role of Mildred's third husband. Therefore, the girl will stop forgiving her and leave. Daniel notices this and then addresses the lady by name, but the girl once again reminds that she is Mrs. Brands. After which, he turns to her with a smile on his face and asks if she is already leaving. The girl stops and replies that yes, she was going to return home. She also understands that the guy came close, and he asked what the lady would ride in. Mildred understands that the Brands family does not have a personal carriage and will have to call a paid carriage. Even though Sandra said she would lend hers, the girl claims she doesn't know. Daniel then smiles and says that in that case, would the lady allow him to ride in the carriage with her? The main character smiles and claims that if he wants to let her down, then she is not an optician, and thanks him. After which, the lady states that they are leaving and says goodbye to her brother and his wife. A little while later, the girl is already picking up the papers. At this time, someone runs into the room. The main character understands that it is Lily and claims that she will throw away these papers, but the girl replies that it is impossible. Mildred looks at the girl and claims that she told her not to run down the hallway. The girl replies that she won't run, but asks her mother not to throw away these papers. Mildred claims that she won't throw them away even if the girl runs, but it's better not to do that. After which, the main character looks at the paper and wonders if this is really the prince's sediment, and wonders if the girl really drew herself. The lady grabs the paper and replies that it's not true at all, and that they are simply discussing dress designs with Dabina. She asked to describe what kind of dress she wanted, and the lady thought it would be better to draw it. The main character looks at these drawings and then says that the lady drew well. Lily asks if her mother really thinks so, and the main character replies that she does, and she thinks that the girl drew very beautifully. She also understands that drawing is an expensive hobby, so Mildred would certainly forbid drawing. There is a prejudice that you can remain without a husband if you do something like that in social circles. At that moment, someone knocks on their door, and the main character remembers something, after which she tells Lily to clean up there faster. Well, then the girl says that her mother told her not to run. The main character doesn't even listen to her and understands that this is a real disaster. The girl remembers how yesterday she was riding in a carriage with Daniel, and he asked whether the lady had not asked for help that day and had simply chosen outfits for the children. He asks why, and the main character asks, what does why mean? And the guy asks why she didn't use the services of a doctor, and the girl understands that he doesn't seem to be asking, but rather demanding an answer. The girl asks if he is worried about her or reproaching her. He is a little surprised by the answer, after which he claims that of course he is worried. Mildred replies that she had no time for treatment, and the guy replies that he said without saying that he would personally pay for her treatment. The girl understands that he is speaking smugly again, although he is the godson of the second queen, so she is not surprised by his behavior. The girl replies that it wasn't about money because she was busy with household chores. Daniel then asks what she will say, whether he will invite the doctor to her house, because he promised to compensate her for the ruined dress and treatment. he will bring not only a doctor, but also a dressmaker, after which he asks when the lady will be convenient. The main character replied that at any time, and they agreed on the next day, which was today. Daniel said he would bring the doctor and the dressmaker, so she couldn't meet him empty-handed, and spent the whole morning cooking in the kitchen. The woman understands what kind of stove it is, and watches Iris, after which she also sees Ashley and turns to her and tells the girl to wrap it up. Cinderella replies that she hasn't finished yet, but the main character says that the guests are already there. Well, let the girl put everything in its place, change her clothes, and go down to them. To which she agrees, and quickly goes to put things away, while the main character opens the door. After which, she sees the Baron, who greets her, and realizes that the atmosphere has changed dramatically. It's like an actor who walked up on stage, and then a girl tells him to move on. When the lady sits down on the sofa, the guy asks to be allowed to introduce Dr. Hampton, as well as the lady from the white dress. The lady's daughters are watching all this in amazement. Afterwards, they sit down at the table, and one of them claims that it is grandiose because a white dress has visited them. Mildred asks if it's a popular place, and the boys reply that it's not very popular. But one of the daughters asks, what does a little mean, since this is the place where the queen's own outfits are created? The guy replies that it's not quite like that, and it's just a nice place. Well, then the main character says that they make the queen's outfits there, after which the guy suggests that she better tell him how her wound is, because the doctor said that there is no reason to worry. But is it difficult for her to move? Mildred replies that everything is fine, and a week has passed, so she is fine. Also, the doctor said that there is no scar left. After this, Daniel says that thank God, and the girl understands that he probably feels guilty for what happened, although the one who pushed her was that guy. The main character also thinks whether it can ask about that child, and meeting a peer will serve as a good experience for girls. Therefore, people ask about the boy who was with him last time, and are interested in what kind of relationship they are in. The guy says that if the lady is interested in Leonie's relatives, then this is absolutely not true. They are not so close to call them friends, but not so distant to call them just acquaintances. This is the child, he teaches different things. The main character asks what he teaches him, and the guy replies that he teaches everything as he told everyone. After this, Cinderella asks if he teaches him how to work. The guy replies that he also teaches him how to work, after which one of the daughters asks what the Baron does, and if it is not too much trouble, she asks him to answer. The main character looks at her daughter with satisfaction and thinks what a great girl she is. When asking personal information of an interlocutor from a noble family, you cannot ask questions directly. Well, you can ask the way Lily did. The guy then answers that he does different jobs, and then the other daughter asks if he cooperates with the white dress. Daniel answers that no, and he does not cooperate with them. And the main character thinks that it is funny because by asking such a question, Iris wanted to know if he has a wife or a daughter. Well, he answered in such a way that it is impossible to understand whether he wants or has children. At this time, Cinderella asks if the Baron is married, and everyone else wonders if she really asked so directly. The main character claims that if you think about it, they know absolutely nothing about his family. She also notices the Baron's gaze, and realizes that he has realized that she is trying to make up for Ellie's mistake. The guy replies that his father fell into eternal sleep the year before last, and the main character says that it is terrible. Well, Daniel says that everything is fine, although they were not close, and it is a completely normal relationship between a father and son. The girl says that they were not family, and he must have been sad when he passed away. The guy then freezes and claims that it is true. The lady at this time asks, what about the Baron's mother? The guy replies that he is more interested in learning about the Mrs.'s family, and the girl understands that it means he doesn't want to tell, and he has so many secrets. Mildred also recalls her brother saying that people who were having difficulties would studiously avoid him, and the girl wonders if she said something wrong. after which Mildred claims that her parents have fallen into eternal sleep, and he already knows his brother. The lady understands that since he tells me about his family, there is no point in telling her about her husband. The girl also asks how the Baron met her brother, and the guy replies that he was spying on the cook in the restaurant. Mildred asks if Gary really thinks he has a chance of luring the defense chef, and then he replies that he doesn't, and that in fact, he only wanted their recipes. Mildred says she hopes the Baron has wiped his nose, and he asks if the lady will side with Count Murphy. Well, the girl says that he deserved it, and asks if that's not true. The guy replies that's why he invited him as an apology. Mildred asks if he is talking about last night, and also hopes that Gary was very upset. A little while later, they are finishing their meal, and the lady states that they are having apple pie for dessert, and asks if he would like some. The girl understands that he has an excellent appetite, because there is not a single piece left of the vegetables and baked chicken. Daniel claims that if the pie was prepared by the same chef, then he will taste it first, and the lady says that it is wonderful because she personally prepared everything. The guy asks if she did it herself, and the girl replies that she is not sure if the pie turned out well. She not only rolled out the dough thinly, but also prepared the filling, so she worries about the taste. Although in her mind, she adds that everything should be fine. The guy claims that he is looking forward to it. However, if the lady doesn't mind, he would like to look around her house first. He heard that it was a very old mansion and was interested in old buildings, but if she was uncomfortable, the lady could refuse. The girl understands that she was told he is good at grading items, and then she agrees. However, he says that the house is very old, so there are objects that cannot be touched. Mildred thinks that if possible, it is necessary to hide the fact that there is no servant in the house, after which she asks for forgiveness. A little while later, she already sees the guy off and claims that they say that her husband bought this house with all these things. And initially, the owner of the mansion was an aristocrat, but due to difficulties, he had to sell the house. The guy wonders if it was 20 years ago, and he did say he liked looking at old buildings. Mildred asks if he just likes looking or if he's interested in buying. The guy replies that he doesn't know because such houses are too big for one to live in. The lady asks what about his children, but he replies that he is not married. The main character then sighs with disappointment, and the guy asks if she is unhappy with the fact that he is single. Mildred replies that for her, it is both bad and good, but thinks how difficult it is to find friends for her children. However, the guy then leans towards the lady and whispers that he thought they would be alone. The girl then turns to the Baron and asks if he has ever seen a young girl alone with a man. She also thinks that the guy doesn't seem to understand what she's talking about and claims that she means to set a good example for her daughters. Mildred realizes that due to silly customs in high society, young girls are not allowed to be alone with a member of the opposite sex, and she cannot ignore it. And she can't leave such a man with her daughters either. The guy then pours a pigtail and says that he seems to understand what she's talking about. The main character sighs after this. A little while later, they enter another room. The main character turns to the guy and asks how he likes this painting. Daniel replies that they need to take a closer look at it because it could be a fake. Mildred asks if this is really true, but adds in her mind that she doesn't even know what style the painting was painted in, so she certainly can't know if it's a fake or not. Well, when she turns to her daughters and sees Lily, she wonders if she's fallen in love with Daniel and why the girl is glowing like that. Well, she hopes that she imagined it, and Lily is only 18, and Daniel is, but the girl understands that she doesn't even know how old he is. The guy at this time claims that he still needs to come during the day and take another look. Mildred says he's good at appraising things, and the guy says he's not much, and the girl thinks it's pretty good. If the painting's value increases, it can be resold after the appraisal. But there are cases when the appraiser, having contacted the buyer, passes off the painting as a fake. However, Danielle does the appraisal herself, and she does not think that he is capable of deception. At this point, one of the daughters approaches the Baron and asks if he is teaching the young man how to value. The boy replies that he is thinking of teaching him this someday. The main character asks what kind of guy this is, and her interlocutor replies that he is good, only a little stubborn. Mildred asks if he is going to tell about it, after which the guy turns to the missus and states that he sees that she is very interested in him. The girl replies that of course, because her daughters are about the same age as him. The guy asks if she is interested only for the sake of her daughters, but the main character thinks what kind of strange question this is, and how could there be any other reason? Mildred also asks if the boy thinks that this young man is too young for her to show personal interest in him, but the boy wonders if age matters when it comes to love. The main character then asks the Baron if he wants to say that he can fall in love with a girl who is under 20 years old, after which he smiles and tells Miss that, of course not. A little while later, the main character is already heading somewhere with her brother. The guy thanks her for agreeing to go, and the main character says that it's terrible that Sandy is sick and that he will need to visit her tomorrow. Well, the guy replies that it's not worth it because she has a slight cold and there's nothing serious about it. But the girl claims that she missed the reception at the palace, and she thinks that everything is much more serious than it seems to him. Lately, people have a hard time coping with colds, and she would feel better if she visited her in person, because frankly speaking, Sandy is closer to her than her brother. She also asks if her brother understands that when he was at the academy, she spent all that time with Sandy. The main character also understands that as she thought her brother called her to introduce her to a man. After all, the voices are so striking about how he wants to marry her off once again. At this time, someone turns to the Count and claims that they have not seen each other for a long time. Murphy greets this man and tells the lady that he will go for drinks. The main character only sighs after this and does not begin to examine the royal palace. She understands that it is so luxurious, and it's good that she had the opportunity to look around before the girl's debut. But at that very moment, someone else addresses the lady. When the main character turns to the guy, she realizes that she doesn't know whose son he is, but he is really good. The lady greets the Baron and claims that she did not think she would meet him there. The guy then wants to greet the lady and call her by name, but stops mid-sentence and addresses her as Mrs., and also claims that he didn't know she was coming. The girl replies that in fact she visited the palace for the first time in a long time, and Count Murphy's wife fell ill, so she had to replace her. The guy then asks where the Count went, and the main character replies that he went to get drinks and is a little late, but she also asks how the Baron got there. The guy replies that he was invited, and the main character asks if he really came to such an evening alone. Daniel asks what evening she is talking about. The leader replies that it is an evening for finding a partner. The young man wonders if she is really saying that this is a dating evening. And the lady replies that every year around this time, the queen holds a banquet. And the young man asks how this is connected to finding a partner. Mildred asks him what he thinks is the reason for holding another evening, a month before the debut, because everyone can meet during the debut. The girl also understands that in addition, everyone present, there is over 30, and all of them are single. The guy claims that this is just a demonstration evening before the debut, but the girl asks if he really thinks so. But in this case, the guy is interested in whether the lady came there in search of a worthy match. Mildred replies that she doesn't know, and asks what about the Baron, to which he replies that if he meets someone, it will be his first marriage. Then the main character claims that she will call this banquet especially for him in the evening, to find the first bride. At this time, the lady's brother comes to them and says that here she is. Mildred claims that she was chatting with the Baron and did not notice how time flew by. The girl also wonders if her brother is really hinting that she left without saying anything, and that he himself is to blame for leaving her alone. Murphy at this time thanks the Baron for keeping his sister company and also hopes that this did not cause inconvenience to his companion. But the guy replies that everything is fine because he came alone, and the main character smiles. And she also understands that he has driven Gary into a stupor with his straightforwardness, which is why she likes this man. A little while later, someone was saying that Her Highness the Queen should be greeted. The main character realizes that she does not remember if she has seen the Queen before. She also understands that if Ashley marries the prince, the Queen will become her mother-in-law, after which the lady looks at the Queen and thinks about it. At this time, music begins to play in the hall. The Baron turns to Mrs. Sleep, and the lady interrupts him and insists that Mildred should give him the first dance. The girl asks if this is true, and also claims that she certainly wouldn't mind dancing with her brother. It's just that the last time she danced was 7 years ago, and the girl asks if he really wants to dance with her. At this time, the Baron says that if people don't mind, he would also like to invite her to dance. But Gary insists that of course he should dance with his sister first. After which the main character takes him by the hand and goes to dance. The girl understands that usually at social events, girls give their first dance not only to husbands and grooms, and close friends who are like brothers to them. Even without a close friend, a beautiful girl like Ashley will have no problem finding a partner for the first dance. She is beautiful, so everyone will want to dance with her, and the main character thinks about what to do with Iris and Lily. They have no friends, no full-fledged family, and these girls have an unremarkable appearance and a modest dowry. No one will invite them to dance, and they will have to stand quietly to the side forcing a smile. The pride of these little girls will be crushed by the majestic name of the debut. When Mildred bows during the dance, she realizes that this fairy tale is some kind of nonsense. After all, the kind Cinderella made the prince fall in love with her only because of her beauty. Then she also thinks that they will order less beautiful girls to do. The lady's brother, at this time, turns to her and whispers that he told her not to get close to Baron Walford. Mildred replies that she doesn't understand why he feels like they're close. Well, the man wonders if they hadn't agreed to meet him there. The main character wonders why on earth she should agree with him, and she tells her brother that if she wanted to meet someone, she would have chosen a quieter and more secluded place so that no one could disturb them. Gary then asks if this means that his sister and the Baron did not agree to meet there. Mildred replies that she is curious how her brother even came up with such a thing. The man replies that when he went to get drinks, he overheard a conversation, and they say that Baron Walford attended such a party for the first time, so everyone is curious about the reason why he came there. The main character asks if this is true and turns towards the Baron. Then her brother says that everyone is watching carefully who Baron Walford is talking to. The main character understands that both women and men are waiting to talk to him. Well, at that very moment, she accidentally steps on her brother's foot, and when he flinches, the girl asks if he's okay and also apologizes. She claims that she did say that she hadn't danced for a long time. A little while later, Daniel approaches the lady. He turns to the lady and asks if she will allow him to invite her to dance. When the girl extends her hand, she states that just in case she will say it again. After all, the last time she danced was 7 years ago. The guy then asks if the dance she danced a minute ago doesn't count. Mildred replies that he probably didn't see how exactly she danced it, but Daniel asks the lady why she says that. The main character claims that he wouldn't say that if he saw it. Well, she claims to the guy that he saw it. That's why he says it. When they continue dancing, they almost collide with another couple. The main character realizes that they almost collided, and Daniel dodged it so deftly. Well, when they continue dancing, the girl stands on Baron's foot. When she looks at his face, she realizes that he is smiling. But the main character still asks if he is okay, after which the young man asks what she is talking about. The girl understands that this man is an excellent dancer and that he has a completely different level than her brother. After which, she asks if it is possible to ask one question, to which he agrees. Mildred starts talking about the man who was with him last time and asks if they have a close relationship. The guy replies that yes, and if the lady is interested in whether he is from a noble family, then yes, he belongs to it. The main character wonders if this means that he has already debuted. Well, her interlocutor only gently takes the miss by the waist, and he claims that he remembers her saying that she was not interested in him as a man. The main character is surprised and wonders if he is deliberately trying to ruin her mood. Mildred claims that she is not interested in him as a man, but that does not mean that she is not interested in him for other reasons. After which the main character starts to leave. The guy turns to the missus with concern and follows her, but the girl only turns to the Baron and claims that she does not understand why he does not want to talk about that boy. Well, he seems to be the same age as her daughters. The man asks if she is considering him as a candidate for future employment, and the girl replies that she is not quite. After all, she wants her daughters to meet different people so that they have many friends. In everyday life, it is impossible for young girls to meet people their own age, and everything comes with experience. Only when meeting in person can you understand whether people are right for each other. Daniel at this time asks the lady if she really just wants to meet him. The girl replies that she hasn't decided yet whether he's right for her daughters, and Daniel is a little embarrassed and also apologizes for being so tactless all this time. The guy claims that he comes from a good family, and he also gives Summer a personal guarantee. Well, the main character says that the Baron should forget because she doesn't trust his guarantees yet. The Baron asks to call him simply Daniel. If the lady is against it, then simply Walford is acceptable. He then whispers to the lady that he feels as if they are talking to his father. Mildred insists that he needs to get used to it, but the guy just asks if he should beg Lady Sugar. She stopped calling him Baron. The girl tells him to try, after which the guy begs her, and the main character bursts into laughter and also says that it is great. Daniel says that the lady can trust him because the boy is from a good family. He is reasonable and brought up according to all the rules of etiquette, and Lady can be sure that he will not harm her daughters. Mildred asks what about his parents and will need to meet them. Well, the man replies that he is entirely responsible for raising the boy and can also talk to his parents, but most likely they will not be able to meet with the lady. The main character asks if they are busy people, to which the guy replies that yes, they both work. He claims to Mildred that he sees that this boy is from a noble family. The guy replies that they had financial difficulties when his grandmother was young. Mildred understands that this is terrible and that parents usually teach their children about the family business from an early age. Well, if the business collapses, then the child is given to a familiar person to raise, and the lady thinks that Daniel is doing a good thing. At this time, the guy claims that if she doubts his guarantee, then he can introduce her to his godmother. Mildred, shocked, asks if he is talking about the Dowager Queen, after which he replies that he shouldn't. The lady wonders what she is talking about with the Queen. And is it really about how her godson has matured? The guy claims that people usually don't miss such an opportunity, but the main character tries to avoid the topic. She also claims that she doesn't think the Queen will agree. Daniel insists and claims that he will try to talk to her. Mildred says, no need, because she will just trust him. Daniel looks at the lady, and then with a smile on his face, states that it is a reasonable decision. The girl only suggests that he introduce her to his protégé for a stalking meeting, to which he agrees. A little while later, Mildred turns around and wonders where Gary went. She also hopes that he is not offended and has not gone home alone. But at that very moment, someone else turns to Mrs. Brands. The girl apologizes, but claims that she is now looking for her brother, but the man says that if she is talking about Count Murphy, then he dances with the wife of Viscount Warren. The main character looks at her brother and thinks that Warren's wife has to suffer because Gary can't keep up with the beat. The lady's interlocutor turns to her again and states that if the place doesn't mind, he would like to invite her to the next dance. The main character, looking at him, thinks who this man is, and he answers that he is Count Leroy. He and her brother are on the same gaming team. The main character realizes that they are probably not partners in the card house, and also hopes that her brother will stop nagging if she dances with someone else besides him and Daniel. After which the lady agrees and comes out to dance when the girl starts dancing with this man. Then he looks at his brother and mentally orders him to look at her, because now, as he wanted, she is dancing not with Diviniel, but with another man. Her interlocutor at this time claims that he saw the lady 2 years ago, and she is still just as beautiful. Mildred claims he is not flattering, and the man says he heard the lady is raising 3 daughters. The main character replies that yes, and she is raising 3 beautiful daughters. The man also claims that the count said so, about how a lady has a hard time raising children alone. The main character replies that everything is fine and they are already adults, but her interlocutor claims that the lady's husband disappeared 2 years ago, and she probably very lonely. When the lady's interlocutor says these words, he grabs her below the waist. But at that very moment, the main character steps on his foot, with her heel causing the man to scream. Mildred asks if he is okay and claims that she stepped on his foot completely by accident. At that moment, other aristocrats come running and ask what happened. They take the Baron away, and one of them claims that it turns out that Mrs. Brands accidentally stepped on his foot. Mildred realizes that he appears to have a sprained ankle and a cracked bone. Well, it still seems that it was necessary to break it completely. A little while later, the main character is already outside with her daughters, while the girls are playing with Daniel's receiver. Then she sits with the Baron and thinks how clever her girls are. The man claims that it seems they assigned the teams incorrectly. Mildred replies something like that, and Iris and Lily are doing pretty well for their first time. Daniel claims that Rian doesn't intend to lose either, so how poor Ashley is. The main character claims that it would be better if Iris and Ashley were on the same team. The guy adds that it would have been possible to put Iris and Ryan together when the main character looks at the actions of her interlocutor. Then he thinks, can you really boil water with such a small lamp? The lady looks at the atmosphere around and then claims that this is a good place. Daniel thanks Letty for agreeing to meet in the park, and the girl replies that it's all for the sake of the children and the weather is nice. The lady understands that she is walking at the beginning, and some difficulties arose because Iris asked if the guy remembers how their mother suffered because of him. Well, now everything is fine. Mildred watches as the Baron pours the water and realizes that it has boiled well. The main character says that he gets along so well with children and wonders why he is not married yet. The man wonders if this has anything to do with his marriage. The girl replies that she asked the question incorrectly and asks why he is still not married. The guy replies that unfortunately his bride went into eternal sleep before the wedding. Mildred is surprised by this, after which her interlocutor smiles, and he claims that it's a joke, and the girl thinks what a bastard he is. The lady suggests that he not joke with such things. Well, the guy says that no one believes him if he says there is no special reason. Mildred claims that his godmother is herself a dowager queen, and even so, he has no fiancé. The boy replies that this is true, and the lady asks if she has introduced him to anyone. Daniel asks if the lady knows that the Dowager Queen believes only in love that is destined for destiny. Mildred thinks this is amazing and wonders if he is joking again. The boy replies that this time he is not joking, and he can swear by his heart. Well, the lady replies that I need it, and if I swear, then I need something more useful. The girl takes a mug of tea and wonders if the Dowager Queen really believes only in fate, but she herself has a hard time believing in such a thing. The main character claims that if such love exists, she hopes that her children will meet her. Daniel asks if he wants to meet her. The main character understands that it is funny. She claims that she has been married twice and has 3 children, so she doesn't think there is room for that kind of love in her life. Daniel asks if Madame thinks that it is important for fate how many times she has been to Prague and how many children she has. Mildred replies that this is a problem for those who are married, but her interlocutor notes that the missus is not married, after which the girl freezes and realizes that Daniel cannot know that Fred's case was found. She also says that the Baron misunderstood something, seeing that her husband was missing, but he was still alive. The Gay replies that he has no doubts, and the lady wonders what it was and whether he could know that Fred's body was found. If so, she doesn't even understand how it's possible. The main character also looks at the children who are playing. She understands that she needs to explain to Ashley how to hold the club correctly. The girl understands that Iris and Rain play very well, and if Ashley hit the ball at least once, it would be great. The ball flies towards Ashley at this time, and when the main character sees this, she immediately jumps up and screams at the girl, and he tells her to hit the ball, after which she does. So Mildred says that the girl is great. Well then, the young man points out that the ball flew far away. Then the main character suggests that he say thank you that he didn't hit it. At this time, Daniel turns to the guy and offers him to go get the ball. Mildred realizes that he is handsome, but has a character, after which the lady turns to Iris, and he tells her to help Ryan and let Lily and Ashley come to her, to which the girls agree. When Ashley approaches her mother, the main character says that she is a good girl because she learned how to hit the ball, and now she needs to learn how to hold the club correctly. She also asks if the girl answered how Lily holds her, because if so, then let her repeat after her. Lily is playing for the first time, and she is doing well, Mildred. He also says that you need to hold it with 2 hands. And he asks Daniel if this is correct, to which the guy replies that yes, and the right hand should be at the bottom. Ashley tries to do it this way, but her sister replies that it is necessary so that the palm faces inward. The main character watching these 2 understands that even being enemies in childhood, with age, all sisters become friends. So she hopes that over time they will become best friends, and says that they are both great. At this time, someone else turns to the mother, and the main character turns around and realizes that it is Iris. She asks if they found the ball. The girl answers that they did. Mildred praises the 2, and then they head off with their daughter, and Ryan watches them. A little while later, they are all at the table. Ashley, looking at the dish, says how delicious it is, and wonders if they are really from the fairy fountain. Daniel replies that they are right, and a little while later, they are sitting with mugs of tea. Iris turns to Ryan and asks if he has made his debut. Yet the guy replies that, well, he was at the ball for a short time. After which, his interlocutor asks him how he is, to which he replies that it's so-so. One of the girls asks why, and the guy replies that there were too many people there, after which he continues to describe the debut. At this time, the main character asks Daniel how things were with him. His boyfriend asks if she is talking about his debut. He replies that he doesn't remember well, and the main character understands that she thinks he was very popular during his debut. The lady claims that it wasn't that long ago, but Daniel asks what about her. The main character understands that Mildred was very popular, even though she did not have a rich dowry. Well, she was beautiful, and Mildred knew it, so now she claims that it was different in every way, and the guy replies that it was the same for him. Mildred asks him if he met a girl during his debut that he would like to marry, but the guy claims that the lady shows great interest in his wedding, to which he replies that it is because it has already taken place. Daniel asks if they're still single, and the girl thinks how disgusting he is, and she claims that she can't talk about her and her husband's personal life. The guy is surprised by this, and then claims that it never even occurred to him to ask about such a thing. He also turns away and says that it is time for them to go back. Mildred thinks, is it really that late? They won't be back before evening. A little while later, Letty realizes that it was terrible because the carriage was terrible and rocked from side to side. Well, she understands that this is not the main thing now and asks if the Baron would like to drink some tea. The guy thanks her for the invitation without thinking, and a little while later, he is already sitting in their house and saying that it smells nice there. Mildred realizes that it is the smell of the dough she quickly mixed while she went to get tea. At this time, Ryan asks Miss if there is really no servant in the house, after which everyone falls silent. The main character understands that he asked so directly after which he claims that a couple of days ago, their butler was seriously injured. She sent him home so he could rest and recover a bit, after which Daniel says it's a disaster. And the girl claims that his son, who also works for them, went with him to take care of his father, and she told the rest of the servants that they were going on a picnic and gave them time for personal rest. Well, they would return in the evening. Nady also approaches Rian and asks if he is going to attend the debut, which will take place this year. The guy doesn't even know what to answer after this, and Daniel claims that he thinks the guy will come. Mildred asks if he gave it to her. He says it's very good, and also thinks it would be great if he danced with the girls. Daniel, at this time, wonders how Mrs. feels about her daughters showing Rian the house. The main character says that it is indeed a good idea. After which the lady turns to Iris and asks if she will show the house to Ryan, to which she agrees. The main character also tells Lily and Ashley to go with them, and they agree. After the children leave, the main character turns to the Baron and asks if Ryan's parents will be present at the debut. The guy replies that yes, and they will both be there. Well, they'll have to leave early. Mildred wonders if it's because of work, and the man replies that they're very busy people, and there's nothing to be done about it. The main character sighs after that, but at the same moment, they hear some kind of smog, as if something is falling. The girl immediately gets up from her seat and asks what it is, but Daniel immediately extends his hand so that the lady remains behind him. The main character thinks that he knows how to protect the girl, and it's cute. At the same moment, people hear someone screaming to her, after which she realizes that she already knows who it is, and apparently this person is very angry. Well, the lady doesn't know what he could be angry about. At this time, Gary heads down the corridor, and his wife runs after him and asks him to calm down. The man at the same moment opens the door to the lady's room, and also asks how she could do this and what she did with Count Leorim. Mildred greets her brother with a smile on her face, but then says that now is not the time to greet him, because he heard that the girl stepped on Count Leroy's foot. Sandy at this time asks her husband to control himself, but he only cries out, does the woman really think that he can be calm in such a situation? Because of this girl, a crack formed in the Count's ankle. Mildred asks if it's just a crack since she was going to break the bone completely, and apparently she should take up sports, after which the lady turns to Baron Walford and asks how he thinks. The girl claims that they already know each other, but asks to be allowed to introduce them again because this is her brother Murphy and his wife Sandra Murphy. Daniel shakes the Count's hand and claims that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and then greets the Baron in the same way. Mildred at this time asks if it turns out that the Count complained to his brother that she injured his leg, and that is why he came running, and also grumbles at her. The girl understands that this man first harassed her, and then she is also to blame, so she thinks what a bastard he is. Gary at this time tells her to choose her words and asks who is grumbling there, because he heard about it in the club. Mildred asks if this means that not only he, but now the club members too are accusing her. Count Leroy Revel is louder than any child. Daniel can't help but laugh and tries to cover it up with a cough. He says that everything is fine and let them not pay attention to him and continue the conversation. The main character sighs and thinks that Prey was more careful because he just laughed. The lady's brother turns to her at this time and states that he is ashamed of her. Mildred wonders if he is familiar with the feeling of shame and asks him not to worry because he must feel even worse after leaving the club without doing anything. The man then asks what she is talking about, and the lady approaches him, and he claims that his husband disappeared 2 years ago, so he must be very lonely. Then the main character also gropes her brother, just like this man groped her, and the guy is shocked by this. When the main character finishes, she asks him if he now understands why she is upset that she couldn't break that bastard's leg. Sandy immediately screams at her husband and asks how this man could afford such a thing. Daniel, at this time, turns to the lady and claims that it seems they are having a family conversation there, so he will not interfere. The main character apologizes and claims that they have tired him out. My boyfriend replies that he didn't answer at all. It was very funny. He takes the lady's hand to ask if he can kiss her. Mildred realizes that he is asking again and then nods as the guy kisses her hand. She says goodbye and then leaves. At this point, her brother decides to continue the conversation and wonders if this man really behaved so brazenly with her. The girl replies that everything is fine because she already injured his ankle, and her brother screams what a shameless bastard he is and how dare he complain and blame the lady. Mildred smiles after this and realizes that just a couple of minutes ago, her brother behaved the same way. At the same moment, someone else addresses the mother, and when the main character turns around, she realizes that it is Iris. The lady's daughter asks if she should make some tea. The main character replies that yes, after which her brother and his wife exchange glances. And they ask Mildred, what about the servants? The main character notes that there are none, after which the man asks why, and is everything really that bad? The main character replies that they know that in order to look after such a large mansion, you need to have a lot of money and workers. Well, and besides, she has 3 daughters who will soon come out into the world, after which one of the 3 daughters will marry, and they will endure until then. Well, the woman asks, what does that mean until then? And the main character replies that the nanny knows how much money will be needed before that moment, so we need to save. Mildred realizes that at least after all this, they will be able to earn money somehow. Sandy at this time turns to Mildred and asks if the Baron brought anyone. The main character answers that he was with the child he teaches. The lady wonders if he was with a student, and Gary wonders if it was a boy, to which the girl replies that yes, and the man asks if he was golden-haired and also handsome, to which the lady replies that no, and that Ryan has brown hair. The man then sighs and asks if the guy's name is Ryan. The main character notes that Dano is wondering what's wrong with him. Sandy claims that the Baron was put in charge of raising the prince, and Gary thought it might be the prince, so he asked. The main character smiles and claims that this cannot be, and also wonders what her brother is thinking about. And even if that were the case, she doesn't think Daniel would bring the prince for a walk with them. The guy at this time heads back with the Baron and addresses him. The man asks, what is the matter, after which the young man claims that it turns out that there are no servants in their house. Daniel asks if they weren't told that today is the servants' day off, and the young man replies that it's not about that. After all, it just seemed to him that there was a lack of order in their house. The Baron replies that this is true. The boy asks why Mrs. Brands deceived them. Daniel then turns to the boy. I wonder what will happen if only 4 girls live in the house. After that, the guy thinks about the answer, and the Baron realizes that he has become more resourceful than before. For a prince who had been surrounded by many people since birth, the lack of servants at the Brands mansion was a great achievement. However, now the young man asks if everyone finds out that 4 ladies live there, the whole house will be littered with dresses. Daniel just looks at the guy coldly and thinks that this is impossible, and also claims that this is a very stupid answer. A little while later, they're already heading through the mansion, and the Raven tells the guy to think again what could happen if only 4 girls live in such a big house. Ryan understands that simply living as a family of 4 and living as a family of 4 without servants are 2 different things. If she told the truth, she could put herself and her daughters in danger. The guy then asks if this means that Mrs. Brands had no other choice but to collect, and knowing this, they could stay with them longer. If there are no servants in the house, then perhaps a man's hand will be needed, and they could help. The brunette then burns the guy's wig and calmly replies that he apparently interfered with His Highness's good intentions. However, he doesn't think he'd want to miss his fencing lesson, since it's almost time, and Mr. Casey wouldn't want that either. A little while later, the servants help the boy get dressed. He turns to the Baron and asks if he can teach him fencing. After all, he heard that he had defeated Mr. Casey. Well, at that very moment, someone else enters the room. and he tells His Highness that it was a couple of years ago, and besides he cheated a little during the duel. This man is His Highness's fencing instructor, and his name is Douglas Casey. Daniel wishes Mr. Casey a good evening, and says that this evening is very good, and he also hopes that he has not put His Highness in danger. Daniel asks what Mr. Casey is talking about. At this time the prince realizes that he has a hot temper, and Casey then suggests that they start studying. His Highness agrees to let the Baron go with them because he is interested in something. As they walk down the corridor, the blonde asks if the Baron remembers when he went to look for the ball. At that moment, the youngest daughter, Brands, made a mistake. Danielle realizes that she has weak abilities compared to her sisters. The young man claims that this is why when they were looking for the ball, he mentioned it to Brands' eldest daughter, and she suddenly got angry. When the young man asked Iris if she thought her younger sister had terrible abilities, then the girl turned sharply to the guy and claimed that Ashley was trying as best she could, and it was indecent to ignore her efforts. Daniel understands that His Highness got it from the impudent eldest daughter, after which he says that it is clear. And the young man claims that he heard that another person brought the youngest daughter. It turns out that they are not even sisters, or, to put it more rudely, strangers. So why did this girl get angry at him? The Baron claims that even if he doesn't like someone in his soul, he knows that this is his person. The blondes wonder if he wants to say that the younger daughter is a close person to the older one. The guy replies that it works on an emotional level, and he will give an example. Daniel asks what His Highness will do if he insults Mr. Casey in front of him. The boy replies that he will say stop, and the fencing teacher looks touched. Daniel asks if this will be the case, even if he likes him more than Mr. Casey. The young man replies that of course, because they are both his people, and the Baron says that this is it. The young man nods and understands that in fact, he is interested in more than just this. Well, even if he asks, the Baron will not give an answer. A little while later, the main character is already with the dressmaker. She looks at the dresses for her daughters and realizes that the last time she was at Davina's workshop, she was worried whether she would be able to finish everything on time because the work was going slowly. But this woman really did it. The main character asks how the girls like the dresses, and Ashley replies that she really likes it because this dress is perfect. Mildred thinks it's mesmerizing and then tells Davina that everything is perfect. The woman is happy and says that thank God, and if anything happens, they can fix them for free within a month. Mildred says that this is wonderful and then turns to her daughters and tells them to quickly take everything down and hang it in their rooms. Mildred realizes that there are 2 days left until the debut, and today they will make a brain from egg whites and tomorrow from lemon, since yesterday they made a honey oatmeal mask. One of the ladies yesterday approached Mother and asked if they would become more beautiful if they did this. The main character answered that they would not, and then one of the ladies asked why they were doing this. Mildred claimed that there was such a word as care. If you try, your skin will look better, and Ashley asked if it would really be like her mother's. The main character, after this, understood that Mildred was beautiful and well-groomed, but for some reason she was sad that her daughters, and especially Ashley, thought exactly the same. In a world where everyone pays attention to appearance, people do not take into account those with unsightly appearance. That's why the main character thinks that she can't leave everything like that, and that her daughters deserve the best. The girl understands that first she will need to overcome obstacles called debut, and it won't be that difficult. Mildred understands that there is nothing complicated because there is almost a day left. Well, a little while later, in the middle of the night, a scream is heard in the estate. The main character immediately runs to the scene and asks what happened. One of the ladies turns to her mother, after which the main character asks what is wrong and whether she is hurt. Mildred sees that Ashley is crying, and when she approaches her, she asks if the girl is okay. The blonde just apologizes while crying, and the main character wonders what's wrong with her. She also turns to Lily, and the girl claims that it seems Ashley wanted to smooth out the wrinkles on the dresses. But Iris looks sharply at the lady and then screams that she won't get away with this so easily. Cinderella immediately bends down and throws her to forgive her because she is guilty. The main character thinks why she is angry. After all, Ashley didn't try on her dress. But even if she did, Iris isn't the type to argue about something like that. And the main character asks what's next. Iris screams that this girl, well, the main character immediately turns to Iris and says that she can disappear, but the post does not turn into insults. And also, let him not dare to insult his younger sister with such words. But the girl screams that she is not her sister. After which, the main character sees a dress on the floor and asks if this is Iris's dress. Mildred understands that the girl really wanted to smooth out the folds because there were water stains, and therefore she does not think that Iris was angry because of this. Well then, the main character sees holes in the dress, and when she turns to Iris, she sees that she is crying. The main character immediately hugs the girl and claims that everything is fine because her mother will fix everything so she shouldn't worry. Mildred realizes that the girl might even have to wear her dress, even though it looks too grown up for her. At this time, Cinderella screams that the girl can wear her dress well. Then the main character tells Ashley to come over and Lily too. She says that everything is fine because they will fix everything, but Iris claims that there are too many burn holes in the dress. And they don't have time. Cinderella asks, what if they sow flowers there? But Iris says that they will wither. The main character understands that Ashley just wanted to smooth out the creases on the dresses. Well, she doesn't have the proper skills in ironing clothes. So to smooth out the dress, she sprayed water and dried them in front of the fireplace. However, the lady did not consider that the flames in the fireplace also produce sparks. Mildred claims that she does not think this is a bad idea. Iris asks what Mother is talking about, but the main game does not turn to Lily and asks if she can count how many holes there are in Iris's dress, to which she agrees. The main character at this time turns to Iris and tells her to immediately go to Dabina and also choose a fabric there that is slightly darker in shade than her dress and return back. The girl asked if Mother was talking about fabric because the fabric for the patch should be the same color as the dress. The main character replied that it was not for a patch because they would make flowers out of it and sew them in place of the holes. Ashley gave her a good idea. Mildred turns to Iris again and asks if she will remember how to ride a horse. The girl then smiles and claims that she will be back soon. When she is about to leave, Cinderella turns to her sister and asks her to forgive her because she really is sorry. Iris looks at her a little distrustfully, but then claims that she will accept her apology after they fix everything. The lady then mounts her horse and heads to the dressmaker. She realizes that she never thought she would ever need her riding skills. The lady also wonders if the horse is also happy to gallop for the first time in a long time. She understands that it is good that it is early morning and there are no people on the streets, so she should hurry. Then the girl sees someone on the street and screams for that person to move aside. But when the guy turns around, the girl realizes that he has a familiar face, and the young man asks if this is really Miss Brand's. The girl then jumps over the guy on the horse, and he just ducks in fear. When the lady lands on the ground with the horse, she asks if the guy is okay, to which he replies that yes. The girl apologizes and claims that next time she will apologize properly, but now she is in a hurry. After which, she says goodbye to the guy, and he wonders in surprise what this is. After all, he was so scared that the young man even felt his heartbeat quicken. A little while later, His Highness is already sitting with Daniel, and the man claims that he scared him. The Baron claims that he has no idea what thoughts are hidden under His Highness's golden hair, but he asks him if he wants to run away next time, then let him do it when he is abroad. The man understands that this is because he is being asked for something he cannot refuse. The king and queen begged him to find the boy before something terrible happened. At this time, the young man asks the Baron if he doesn't think that this is some kind of ritual. Daniel understands that this guy is the king's only heir, and it's surprising that at 22 years old, he hasn't even found a bride, let alone married. So he asks if there could be anything crazier than the fact that His Highness, who is the main character of the debut, escapes from the palace the day before the ball. But the blonde claims that they want to invite young ladies so that he can choose the one he likes, and it can be assumed that among them there will be the one he wants to marry. But what next? Daniel claims that they will hold their engagement, but at the same moment the young man turns to the Baron. He claims that his hearing is fine, so he shouldn't raise his voice like that. Well, the young man asks, what if the lady doesn't like him, too? Which the man replies that this is impossible. And yet, the guy asks, what if it happens exactly like this, and if the one he likes hates him? After this, Daniel asks if this means that this is the reason for His Highness's escape, to which he replies that it is not at all, and that he is simply curious, which is why he asked. Then the Baron asks why he came back, and the guy asks if he remembers the mansion they recently visited, and asks what he thinks if they have a carriage. Daniel replies that no, and the young man says that he thought so, and also that their situation is not very good. The guy's interlocutor claims that they are not rich, to which he agrees, and then goes on to claim that he would like to send a carriage for the Brand's family. Daniel wonders why, but the young man asks in what sense he is wondering, because they have no money, and the four of them live without hearing, so it seems to him that they need a carriage. But the Baron wonders why His Highness is worried about such things, which makes the young man feel confused. He claims that yesterday he accidentally met Miss Brands. Daniel asks which one, and the guy replies that it was the older one. The man then freezes and tells His Highness that this is not something he should worry about. Ryan says that if his people are having difficulties, then as a future ruler, he is obliged to help them. Well, at that very moment, the Baron tells His Highness that a man slightly older than him would suit this lady. The young man immediately jumps up from his seat and claims that he didn't mean it that way and just wants to help. Well, at that moment, the guy gets a little embarrassed and tells the Baron to wait. After all, Iris is only 19 years old, and if not him, then how much older must the man be? After this, Daniel doesn't even know what to say, and then covers his face with his hands. When His Highness looks at the Baron, he asks what happened and wonders if he is really crying. The man then starts laughing out loud and asks if His Highness spoke about Miss Iris. Well, the guy is interested in whether there is anyone older among Miss Brands. Daniel realizes that Mildred is not Miss, but Mrs. Brands. After which he also thinks how he could have been so mistaken. The Baron says that it is good, and since this is what His Highness wishes, he will send a carriage to their mansion. Well, let him know that he is only fulfilling His Highness's request, to which he nods. When the Baron is about to leave, he grabs the door handle and tells Mr. Casey to come through. The man realized that he had been noticed was at a loss, and then even asked for forgiveness for the disturbance. The Baron claims that Mr. Casey is there, so he thinks it's time for him to leave. When the man leaves the room, someone else addresses him. Daniel orders the servants to convey to His Majesty that he is leaving because Mr. Casey has arrived, to which the servant agrees. When the guy goes further, he realizes that there is very little time left until the ball. Everything will be fine if Mr. Casey looks after His Highness. When the guy moves on, he realizes that he has already sent a carriage to their mansion, and now he won't have to lie that he did it at Ryan's request. After which the guy smiles and realizes that, thanks to him, he has a good excuse. A little while later, the main character and her daughters come to the ball. Lily notices that there are so many people there, and her sister claims that representatives of noble families of all ranks are invited to this ball. Mildred claims that their exit is coming soon, so she suggests that Ashley straighten her back. Lily asks if they should straighten their shoulders, and the main character sees that the girls are doing it and claim that this is exactly how it is. When they enter the hall, someone announces that Mrs. Brands has arrived with her daughters, Miss Iris, Miss Lily, and Miss Ashley. While people in the hall start whispering, the main character suggests that the girls go in one direction. A little while later, someone else approaches the main character, and the girl realizes that it is her brother and his wife. The lady claims that she did not think she would meet him there, and her daughters wish good evening to the Earl and Lady Sandra. At this time, the man whispers to his sister that he doesn't know whether the lady heard or not, but a couple of days ago the Count returned to his domain. They say that before leaving, he packed all his things and does not plan to return. The main character asks if this is true, and he understands that it's not often that you see people who come to the capital for one social evening. Gary claims that he heard at the club that he had fallen and permanently broken his leg, but no one knows whether he fell down the stairs or from somewhere else. Mildred wonders why no one knows about it, given that he fell down the stairs in the house. But then the lady realizes that if no one knows, then perhaps he visited an indecent place that would tarnish his reputation, and he could well have tripped on the stairs, or it is possible that someone beat him up. However, they are now in a fairy tale world, and the girl wonders if there is an establishment there that can discredit a person. At this time, someone else approaches them and wishes good evening to Count Murphy and Lady Sandra. It turns out to be Baron Walford. He smiles and turns to the lady and asks if she will allow him to kiss her. The main character sighs and extends her hand to him, after which the guy kisses her. Well, when the girl takes her hand back, she wonders why he doesn't kiss Sandra's hand, and whether he only kisses the hands of ladies who don't have husbands. At this time, Gary turns to the Baron and claims that he thought he would be with His Highness. But the guy replies that there are a lot of wonderful people around His Highness now, and he thought that he would be uncomfortable, surrounded by so many people. So he stepped aside. The main character realizes that it sounds as if he was afraid of being disgraced while being near His Highness. The guy at this time glances sideways at the lady and also says that he also wanted to greet the beautiful ladies. He also turns to the daughters of the main character and Lady Sandra, which makes them blush and also say that the Baron is also magnificent. The main character understands that for a second, it seemed to her that the words were addressed to her, after which she also thanks Mr. Walford for sending the carriage for them and thanks him for his concern. The main character understands that thanks to him, they didn't have to follow the carriage all the way to the city. Well, she would have refused if she hadn't been sent as an apology for Ryan's behavior. And besides, Ashley's pumpkin carriage, which she also gave, was not on the horizon. So the lady is wondering when the fairy godmother will appear. One of the ladies at this time also thanks the Baron and claims that this is a wonderful carriage. Iris declines and thanks him for his concern, since by the grace of the Baron, they arrived with all the comforts. The main character, looking at her daughters, understands that she doesn't even know whose daughters they are, but they were raised with dignity. Daniel says that there is no need for gratitude because he only fulfilled Ryan's request. And on the way to them, he heard people praising their daughters' outfits, so Mrs. should be proud of it. The main character asks if this is true, and the man claims that the dress belongs to Miss Ashley. And also, Miss Iris's dress is of particular interest. The girl is embarrassed by this and also says that the Baron flatters her. But the guy replies that not at all. He also asks the lady if she chose the dress herself, because if so, then she has excellent taste. The main character thanks Mr. Walford, and Lily claims to decorate the dress with flowers. This is also Mother's idea. The man asks if this is true, and Sandra also asks if this is Mildred's idea. The woman replies that there is nothing special about it, and that the fact is that due to her mistake, sparks from the fireplace got on Iris's dress, so she made flowers to cover the holes and didn't think it would turn out so well. Daniel, with a smile on his face, claims that a great discovery always begins with a small mistake, and the main character thinks how well he knows how to choose his words and says that it's true. A little while later, someone announces that the royal family has arrived. Ashley turns to her mother and says that there is a prince there, which makes the main character realize that her expectations are not in vain. Like the heroine of the fairy tale, Ashley, Iris, and Lily were also waiting to meet the prince, but she doesn't want to. So that because of the desire to be near him, they ruined their lives. Iris notices that the guy really is a blonde. The main character thinks that the prince has Cinderella. She also realizes that Mildred has never seen him before. Daniel, noticing how the lady is trying to spot the prince, wonders if she is really curious. The woman replies that of course they say that he is very handsome, and the guy is wondering if she really wants to look at the prince only because of his appearance. The main character is surprised by this and wonders if there could be some other reason for her interest in him. Mildred understands that the Baron is the prince's teacher and can see him as often as the king and queen, and they don't even know what he looks like. And the lady wonders why there are so many people there. She slowly stands on her toes and wonders if Ashley will be able to meet the prince since the fairy godmother never showed up. But how will Cinderella lose the glass slipper after the dance if not? Well, then the main character realizes that maybe the fairy godmother gave Ashley the crystal slippers when she wasn't looking. Well, when the main character wants to walk further, she suddenly stumbles and starts to fall. At that moment, the Baron grabs her and asks if she is okay. The main character then apologizes. She also thanks Mr. Walford for his help and says that she feels so awkward. But when the guy continues to hold her, the girl asks the mister what happened. The guy just approaches the lady and then claims that she smells nice. The main character shudders at this and asks if it is so, after which the ladies begin to sniff themselves and wonder if he really smelled the herbs. She also realizes that instead of expensive perfume, she applied some herbal oil to herself and the girls. But at that very moment, the lady hears someone clapping and wonders if the greeting is already over. And now, Ashley is left to dance with the prince, even though she doesn't have glass slippers. In the future, when the prince finds Ashley, she will be able to leave. And after the girl marries the prince, then she will be able to sell this huge house and live a quiet life. And the proceeds from the sale can be invested in the wedding of Iris and Lily. The storyline of the stepmother's holy knowledge will disappear and the story will end. Well, at that moment, one of the ladies asks what is going on because it seems the prince is leaving. The main character wonders if he is leaving without dancing with Ashley. She also turns to the Baron and wonders if something happened to the prince. The guy tells Mrs. that he doesn't know either. Lily at this time asks if he's really sick, and Daniel replies that he doesn't know because he has good health, but there are foreseen circumstances. For example, he could have indigestion. The main character understands that he is ranting, even without knowing the real reason. Well, she still thinks about what's going on and hopes that it's not because of her. At this time, someone else approaches the Baron and wishes him a good evening, after which the guy asks to be introduced to Mr. Button and also introduces him to Mrs. Brands, who is the younger sister of Earl Murphy. The main character wonders why she has such a bad feeling. The lady says she is pleased to meet you and also introduces her daughters. The guy turns to Miss Ashley and bows and asks if she will allow him to invite her to dance. The main character wonders why her bad feeling never lets her down, and also wonders if this guy even understands how important the first dance is and what he will now order to do with this oppressive atmosphere. At this time, Sandra pushes her husband, after which he approaches Iris and asks if the girl will give him her first dance, to which the lady agrees, and the main character thinks, "Long live Gary." After which, Daniel approaches Lily and asks if she will allow him to invite her to dance. The girl is embarrassed by this, after which she completely agrees, and the main character thinks that he is simply an angel. After which, the main character also notices Ashley and says that if everything is okay with her, then it would be impolite to refuse the invitation, so let her go and dance, to which the girl agrees. And then all three of the ladies' daughters dance. The main character, looking at their smiles, smiles herself. Mildred's memories appear in her head. Sandy approaches the lady and claims that her girls are already quite grown up. The main character answers that it is true, and they have grown up. The girl understands that the little girls from her memories have grown up unnoticed. This both pleases and saddens her. At this time, Sandra once again turns to Mildred and asks when she became so friendly with Baron Walford. Mildred replies that they are not particularly close and that she is simply looking after a young man at the bar, and she thought that they could help each other. Mildred wonders if it really seems like she and Daniel are close. Vitya just accepted his compensation. But Sandra says that Baron Walford is now dancing with Lily. But the main character asks, what about Togo? The woman replies that they say he only invites princesses to dance. But then the main character claims that there is no princess. Sandy says that this is exactly why he didn't invite anyone. But he tells the main character that the Baron danced with her too. It was at the dating party, that is at the last rout, that took place in the palace, that Sandy missed. Her interlocutor replies that yes, she heard about it, because everyone was discussing it during tea. The main character is surprised by this, and wonders if Daniel is really that popular. She also says that if she confesses, she will be at a loss because they are not as close as it may seem from the outside. Sandy says that perhaps the main character claims that it is because of his interest in the painting that hangs in their house. While visiting them, he noticed one landscape and said that next time he wanted to look at it more closely. Sandy says that's true, and she seems to have heard that the Baron collects old paintings. Mildred hopes that Daniel is actually interested in the painting. The lady also understands that he is too old for Lily, and giving her to someone unknown is also scary. The girl also wonders if it could be that Lily likes Daniel. A little while later, the dance ends, and the daughters return to their mother. The main character asks if they liked it, to which they answer that they did. Lily says it was amazing, and the Baron just smiles. Gary then approaches his wife and asks her to dance, but the woman says that he needs to dance with Mildred. The main character claims that everything is fine, because today she is in the role of duenna, a well-behaved woman of age, who looks after the morality of noble maidens. Mildred insists that she has no time to dance while she is looking after the girls, so they should go ahead and dance. The girl also realizes that she doesn't want to dance with Gary anymore. Sandy, leaving, claims that they will return. Soon the main character thinks what a wonderful family relationship they have. A little while later, someone else approaches Lady Mildred and also states that he seems to have no chance of dancing with her and therefore asks him to change. Mildred claims that she asked Mr. Walford not to joke like that, but the guy just smiles, and the main character understands that she would like him to dance and that nothing can be done about Iris. At this time, the other daughters turn to their mother. Mildred wonders what's wrong with them and asks what happened, and Iris says that her mother needed to dance with the Baron. The main character replies that he didn't even invite her, but Lily gets angry and says that she couldn't invite her mother because she said that she didn't have time for dancing. Mildred wonders why Walford would want to dance with her and tells the girls to stop talking nonsense. She also suggests that they go and dance some more. A little while later, the girls return to their mother and say that they are not tired yet. Mildred argues that it will be too late when they realize that they are tired, and that on evenings like this, one needs to rest from time to time. The lady also says that they should drink water because the water balance in the body is very important. Mildred realizes that each of her daughters has danced twice and can rest. However, then she looks at one of the ladies, and Ashley, noticing her, asks for her mother. Is that girl really crying? Lily says she's curious about why that girl is crying, but the main character snaps back that it's not nice to be curious about someone else's personal life. Cinderella tells her mother that they are interested, after which they hear the crying girl screaming that it is terrible. Another lady at this time notices that there are still people sitting on the side and also says that they must have come to rest. The lady asks them to forgive her because it's all because of the ruined dress. Lily at this time gets up from her seat and asks what happened. The main character thinks that it is clear why there were so few people in this particular restroom. At this time, Iris turns to her mother and asks if she took her travel sewing kit with her, and maybe she should continue it. Mildred hopes the dress isn't too damaged and understands that she needs to look first. She turns to the lady and asks if she will show her dress. Mildred introduces herself and also introduces her daughters. The main character claims that she has needles and threads. so let them shoot and look at her dress, and she will help fix it. But the girl claims that this will not help. And when the main character sees her dress, she understands that this is not something that can be fixed by sewing. At this time, Lily asks how this happened, to which the lady replies that it was an accident. The main character understands that it seems that this girl spilled red wine on you, and did her companions just stand there and watch her drink alcohol, because you can only drink alcohol after you have reached the age of majority. Another lady at this time claims that her name is Patricia, and this girl is her cousin named Maria. The main character says that it is clear, and she is pleased to meet you. And Iris asks her mother if it will be difficult to remove this stain. Mildred realizes that wine stains are difficult to remove, even with the best efforts, and may still leave a noticeable mark. Well then, the main character suddenly comes up with something and tells Iris to go get some sparkling white wine. Let Lily go get a bucket and soap, because the bucket should be big enough to fit the dress in it. After which, she also turns to Ashley and asks her to bring as many towels as possible, and also ask the servants for some. Patricia wonders if the lady will be able to fix this, and the main character replies that it is possible, but one should not hope too much. In any case, the dress is already ruined, but it's better to try something than nothing. The main character also says that one of the girls should help her, because they need to tear down the curtain. A little while later, other ladies are already bringing white wine in a bucket and towels. The main character says that it is great, and thanks them, and also turns to Maria and asks her to take off her dress and put up the curtain. The girl is shocked and asks if she really needs to do this right there. Her sister claims that she will cover for her. Mildred also turns to Iris and asks her to guard the entrance to the room, and also not to let anyone in until they finish, especially the men. At this time, someone turns to the Baron and asks if he has heard about the magic dress. The man asks what she is talking about, and the woman claims that they say that at the current debut, there is a girl whose dress is decorated with everlasting flowers. Daniel asks if the lady is talking about Iris Brands's dress, and the women wonder if they know each other. The guy replies that he was invited several times by the ladies of the Brands family. Well, then the woman claims that the Baron is not such a simple man. She also understands that he probably refused them, and the guy just smiles. He also adds that if they are talking about one of the daughter's dresses, he has seen it personally, and it is beautiful. Someone else comes up to them and asks if they are talking about the girl with the blonde hair. Well, the guy replies that no, and he's talking about Miss Iris Brands. She has brown hair and brown eyes. One of the boys then says that he remembered. And Mrs. Brands's eldest daughter is quite a nice girl. Daniel says that he is right, and besides, she has a wonderful character and good manners. The woman at this point asks if Mrs. Brands's middle daughter's name is Lily. The man replies that yes, this young lady is quite an interesting person. The guy at this time asks if the younger one is really the beautiful one. Daniel wonders if she's talking about Miss Ashley, because she is, and she is beautiful. The other aristocrats agree and say that she is quite attractive. Someone else claims that the light green dress is also not bad. Another lady asks if they are talking about Miss Lily, because the color of her dress matches her green eyes very well. But still, one magic dress is the best. Daniel at this time turns his attention to Lady Ashley, who runs with a mountain of towels. The man wonders what she is doing, but at that very moment the Queen comes into the room and addresses Baron Walford. Everyone in the hall immediately bows, including the Baron. Iris stands at the entrance to the room at this time. But at that very moment, she hears two guys entering the corridor with a glass of wine. When they approach the lady, she apologizes, but claims that this is the ladies' restroom. But the guys just smile and shift between themselves, and also ask what they are doing there, that the lady is standing outside. Iris claims that her mother and sisters are resting there. One of the guys wonders if the lady has deliberately stood in front of the doors so that no one could disturb her sister's rest. Iris wonders if they are making fun of her. It is so impolite. She has never experienced anything like this before when interacting with people. She also remembers how her mother used to say that if something unpleasant happens, they should take a deep breath and straighten their shoulders, and then the fear will go away. So now the girl thinks that everything is fine, and they will hardly be able to harm her, and also claims that the gentlemen who did not bother to introduce themselves to her are right, and also asks if they want to see the ladies' restroom, after which the two guys freeze, and one of them wonders if she is really asking them now if they want to see the ladies' restroom, and if they said they wanted to do that, and who would think of spying on how the girls are relaxing. Iris wonders if they are bothering her, not because she blocked their way into the room. And these people are so strange. She also wonders why they didn't just pass by. Someone else comes up from behind and asks why, because he is also very interested. It turns out to be Baron Walford, and one of the guys in shock asks what the Baron is doing there. The man at this time asks if Miss Iris's mother is inside. The girl replies that yes, she is there, but men are not allowed in. The Baron asks if that is true, after which he asks if the gentleman heard what was just said. The guys are shocked and ask him what he's talking about, but Daniel asks if they have hearing problems, to which they answer no. But the man claims that in this case they will arise if they continue to stand there. The boys immediately start to leave, shouting apologies. Iris, her hands shaking, realizes that she has become overly nervous. At this time, the Baron turns to the lady and asks if she feels okay, to which the girl replies that she does, and thanks the Baron. At this time, someone else suddenly appears and asks if the young lady is okay. The girl replies that everything is fine and thanks the lady, and also asks if she would like to use the restroom. Well, she might be a little shocked if she walked in right now, and the woman asked what was going on. Iris whispers that one girl has stained her dress, and now her mother is helping her remove the stain. It will be a bit of a bustle, but there are plenty of seats in the room, so let them pass. The woman then smiles and asks if Baron Walford can come with them. Iris replies that they are always glad to see the Baron, but to remove the stain they had to take off their dress. That's why Mother said not to let men in. The woman says that here she is. The Baron answers that everything is fine, after which the woman says to wait for her there. Well then, one of the maids turns to Her Majesty. Iris is shocked to think whether this is Her Majesty, and whether she came with Baron Walford. The Queen at this time tells Valerie to stop, and Iris at the same time bows and greets the pestering Queen. The woman then grumbles at Valerie. Well, her interlocutor replies that she cannot allow Her Majesty to go alone. The woman then sighs and says that she will look out of curiosity, so the girl should not worry. She also says that then Valerie will go with her and let her not make noise, because they will just take a quick look. When they go there, Iris asks if there is anything wrong with the fact that she did not warn her mother. The Baron answers that it probably is. At this time, the main character tells her daughters to hold the dress tightly, to which they agree. Patricia is surprised when she sees the stain on her dress begin to disappear, and one of her daughters tells her mother that it is coming off. Well, the main character says that this is great, after which she is going to move on to another spot and understands that she had once seen a method for removing wine stains on the internet, but was not sure that she would be able to remove the stain herself. After which, the main character begins to wash the dress with soap and turns to Lily and also tells her to prepare water for rinsing. Ashley should be prepared to dry her dress with towels, and a little while later, the dress is already clean. All the girls looking at it admire it, and Maria comes up to the main character and hugs her and also says that the lady is simply a sorceress. The Queen, watching this, says what an interesting spectacle this is. A little while later, the main characters are already in their estate. When a lady opens her eyes in the morning, she realizes that she is falling into an eternal sleep. The girl realizes that she is so tired, and at such moments, she realizes Mildred's true age. The lady also hears some sounds and understands that the girls don't care, even though they fell asleep at dawn. Well, maybe it's because they are still young. The girl is still thinking about what to do now. Yesterday the prince never returned, and Ashley didn't have the opportunity to talk to him. At this time, the main character notices someone else looking into the room. It turns out to be one of the daughters, and she asks how Mother is feeling. Mildred gets out of bed and replies that everything is fine, but asks if the girls have had breakfast yet. One of them claims that they have already had lunch, and then the girl wonders if it is really that late. Iris approaches her mother and asks if she is unwell and whether she should call a doctor. Mildred replies that no, and she is simply not in the mood. The girl realizes that she has no idea where this fairy tale is leading. As a result, Ashley, who had to run away before midnight after losing her shoe, danced merrily until the morning with the other debutantes. Mildred wonders if it was because of her that the storyline changed, and if it was because she didn't bully Ashley, but she's not Mildred. And all three girls are the same for her Iris. At this time, asks her mother if she is hungry and if she should bring her anything. Mildred answers that she is not and that she does not need anything. The lady realizes that she is so anxious that she cannot think about food. Then one of the ladies tells Mother to rest. She also helps her get comfortable. Their main character thinks that she doesn't even know whose daughters they are, but they are demanding. Mildred realizes that maybe the fairy godmother didn't show up because she and the girls didn't ruin Ashley's dress, which is why the prince didn't ask her to dance. Well then, the main character suddenly comes into shock and thinks that maybe this is not a fairy tale at all. Of course, she thought that Ashley was Cinderella and Mildred was her stepmother, because this is a very popular story about a beautiful girl who lost her mother at an early age. The story of how her father married for the second time and how her stepmother abused her. Mildred understands that anyone would say that it was Cinderella, and besides, when she woke up in her stepmother's body, well, at that very moment someone turns to the lady, and it turns out to be Ashley. Yes, the main character asks what happened, and the girl only sadly wonders if it's all because of her. Mildred asks if she really broke something again, and the lady with tears in her eyes replies that she is wrong. And the main character thinks what she could have done, that she is crying so bitterly. Ashley claims that it is because of her that her mother is in a bad mood. Mildred, shocked, asks what she is talking about, but the lady is only interested in what she needs to do to make her mother feel better. The girl also claims that next time she will not go to a social event. Mildred, shocked, tells the lady to wait and asks what she is talking about. Ashley looks at her mother all tearful and then says that she was upset because of Togo, that she was asked to dance more often than others. The main character understands that Ashley thinks that she is upset because of this. Of course, the girl was invited more often than the others, but they all danced quite often. Besides, it wasn't Ashley's fault that the men asked her to dance, and if Mildred had been her real mother, she would never have thought that she could hate her instead. What to be proud of and what to praise, after which the main character tells Ashley to come to her. She thinks she's beginning to understand how Ashley felt while living in this house, so now she tells the child to come to her with a smile on her face. Cinderella immediately goes to her mother, and then he hugs her. The main character understands that because of this, her heart is breaking with pain. Mildred turns to Ashley and says that she is very glad that she was often asked to dance. This has nothing to do with her sisters, because they also danced a lot. So let the girl not think that she could be upset because she was invited more often than her sisters. And she, on the contrary, is proud of Ashley. The girl then starts crying again. The main character understands that now her world is not too big, and it consists of her Iris, Lily, and their home. Well, beyond this world, there is another world where girls have to get married and leave their home. But for a girl who has just turned 17, it is still difficult to leave her home, even though she doesn't like it. Everything is not easy at all, and she wants to provide her Iris and Lily with a better future than that, which the real Mildred could provide them with. Luckily, there is one person Ashley can rely on, and that is the person who will save her. That is the prince. At this time, someone else enters the room. It turns out to be Iris. The girl sees what is happening there, carefully places a tray with water and a glass on the table. The main character understands that she will need to thank her later, and when Iris leaves, the girl turns to Ashley again and says that perhaps she is not as good as her real mother. Ashley replies that this is not true at all, and the main character wipes away her tears and wonders if the girl still has memories of her mother, whom she lost at the age of 5. The brunette claims that the lady may be uncomfortable with her, but the girl then screams that she is not uncomfortable. She says the last word more quietly, and the main character sighs and also states that she believes that everyone in the family should fulfill their responsibilities, and someday they will get married and also create their own families, have children, and gradually move away from each other. Ashley claims that she doesn't want to get married, and the main character thinks that she does. If the girl really is not Cinderella, then she does not know what she really thinks and dreams about, doesn't know what abilities and talents she's endowed with. Mildred claims that's not bad either, but she should think about it again after a couple of balls. Mildred realizes that she may change her mind after meeting the prince and thinks that she will be sad if she falls in love and wants to get married quickly. At this point, the blonde asks if this means that they now have to attend all dinner parties, and the main character replies that only if she wants it. Ashley then asks her mother if she is happy that she is going out into the world, and the main character replies that she doesn't have to go if she doesn't want to, but she wants the girl to meet many different people there, because in this way she will broaden her horizons and her world will become bigger. Mildred realizes that Ashley's world cannot consist of just her Iris and Lily for eternity. Sometimes, in order to coexist in society, people have to do things they don't like. Well then, the main character also wonders what she was thinking about until Ashley came. But at that moment they hear someone knocking, and Ashley claims that it seems like someone has come. Mildred says that it is okay, and let her leave it to her sisters. The main character also wipes away her daughter's tears and asks her what to do with her tear-stained eyes. The girl then only blushes and hugs Mildred, but at that very moment someone cries out to her mother and claims that a man from the palace has arrived. The main character immediately gets up and asks if he is from the palace and also wonders who he is and why he came. Lily replies that he brought a letter for his mother. Mildred, shocked, asks if this is for her, and a little while later she comes out into the living room. But she only sees Baron Walford there and greets him. Mildred thinks that the girls said that they came from the palace. At this time, the Baron greets the miss and asks if she will allow him to kiss her, to which the man agrees, and the guy takes her hand to kiss. When the main characters take their hand away and realize that she forgot to put on gloves, he claims that the girl said that he arrived from the palace. Daniel replies that everything is correct because today he is able to leave the palace, after which the guy takes out a letter and claims that he brought an invitation for her. Mildred asks if he is going to invite her to a party he is hosting. The man replies that he will be happy to invite her in the future if he has such an opportunity. The main character smiles and says that of course, and she also believes that he will have such an opportunity. Well, when the main character looks at the letter, she thinks, is it really not signed? The lady also wonders how she can then understand who it is from, and whether Daniel looks like the kind of person who would deliver ordinary invitations. Then Mildred looks at Ashley and thinks that maybe the prince sent it. Well, when the main character finds the letter, he sees that it is from the Dowager Queen and is shocked. Daniel replies that yes, and it is an invitation from Her Majesty. Mildred claims that she sees, but is this really an invitation to tea? The Baron says that she can refuse if the lady is uncomfortable, but the main character asks if he is really saying that she can refuse an invitation from the mother of the ruling monarch. Daniel replies that yes, and if she is uncomfortable, then nothing can be done. Mildred looks at the guy and wonders if he is joking now or is absolutely serious. The guy claims that it is a great honor to receive an invitation to tea from the Dowager Queen herself. He recommends the lady to accept it for herself. Mildred then asks when it will take place, and the guy replies that he will come for her in a week. Mildred asks if he will personally accompany her, and the man only winks and claims that he would be happy to do so. The main character wonders if the queen also ordered him to wink and if he is a scary person. At this time, Lily turns to the Baron and asks if he is busy now. The man replies that he is not and asks what the matter is. The girl claims that she is curious about something about the painting in their house and asks if it would be difficult for him to look at it once. The girl also asks her mother if she can show the Baron the painting, but she is only interested in whether the girl has finished all her work. Lily replies that yes, and the dress can be finished before bed, after which the main character agrees and says that since the Baron is not busy, then it's possible. The girl understands that if there was a real Mildred there, she would have forced the girls to do traditional embroidery, but now they are sewing a dress for a new outing. And of course, Dabina helps them a little. Luckily, the girls are familiar with the basics of sewing, and thanks to this, they can save money. The Baron turns to Mildred at this time and offers to go with them. A little while later, they are already there. Lily claims that the artist has a very unusual style, and no matter how much she looks at the painting, she still thinks that it was painted by Kyle. The guy replies that she is right, because he also thought that it could belong to Kyle's brush, or the lady asks if this is true. The main character thinks that this is the painting that he looked at carefully last time, but the guy says he's not sure, and it would be better if they checked the artist's signature on the painting. Lily enthusiastically agrees. At this time, the Baron turns to Mrs. Mildred and asks if she will allow him to check. The girl asks how to check her, and he answers that the frame needs to be removed. Mildred wonders if he's really going to take down such a large frame, and the guy says that if she doesn't mind, he'd prefer to take the painting with him for inspection. Mildred asks if it's really that serious, and the guy replies that yes, Kyle is quite a mysterious artist. They only know his name, and there is no information about where he lived and where he learned to draw like that. His paintings are very popular due to his unusual style and fine, careful work. The main character wonders what kind of style this is and tells the guy that the artist's mystery further increases the value of the paintings. She thinks about increasing the price and understands that this means she will be able to sell it for a high price. A little while later, workers enter the house and Iris greets them and tells them to go through because the painting is on the second floor. At this time, the main character turns to Lily and asks if she will come over for a minute. When the lady does so, Mildred asks if she can leave a mark on the painting that will be known only to them. The girl asks if it is really necessary to put a mark on the painting, and the main character answers that yes, but not on the frame but on the canvas itself. Lily asks what kind of mark to leave, and the main character replies that something invisible so that they can easily remove the marks. The girl claims that it is not difficult, after which she looks for something in her pocket and claims that he was somewhere there. The lady takes a pencil out of her pocket, and the main character wonders if she really carries it with her all the time. Mildred says it's dangerous to keep sharp objects in your pocket, so let her make a cap for the pencil, or uses a pen cap. Lily just smiles and then brings the pencil to the painting and makes a few strokes, after which he claims that everything is ready. The main character asks what she wrote. The lady replies that the name. At this time, the workers go up to the second floor, and the girl hides the pencil. When the workers are already loading the painting into the carriage, and someone hands the lady a document, then the main character realizes that everything is more serious than she thought. A little while later, the painting is already taken away. One of the daughters approaches her mother and asks why she asked to leave a mark on the painting. Mildred replies that the appraisers can make a copy of the painting, but the girl says that it is Baron Walford and asks if she thinks he can deceive them. The main character sighs and claims that she does not think he is capable of such a thing. Well, they can't know everything for sure, and they have to be prepared for everything. Lily says that's true, because the Baron won't deceive them, but someone else is quite capable of a scam. Mildred claims that she is right, but people are designed in such a way that they can do bad things even without wanting to or realizing it. The girl understands that there is nothing more painful than the betrayal of a loved one. At this time, the girl asks if these are people like Ashley's father and the main character shudders a little from this. She understands what her daughter really thinks. Mildred thinks that she wouldn't want the girl to hate Ashley too much. At this time, Lily turns to her mother again and says that she is in that direction. The main character asks if these are messengers from other families. The Baron enters at this time. And what kind of establishment is this? He asks where the painting is. The man who works there claims that they unpacked it in advance. When the Baron starts looking at the painting, the worker claims that they have already looked at it, and it also seems that this painting was painted by Kyle. The guy then suggests removing the frame and taking another look about His Highness, who is nearby, just watching everything. When they remove the frame, the man claims that everything is correct, because even on those parts of the canvas that were hidden under the frame, you can clearly see Kyle's unique handwriting. So, was there really a painting of such a large size among his works? And was this a grand discovery? The guy then looks at the painting, and then turns to Ryan and tells him to take a look at it once. The guy does just that after that, but Daniel remembers how he sat with Lady Mildred's family in the garden. After which, he turns to Mr. Cole and asks him to keep what happened today a secret. Well, the man claims that this is the work of Kyle himself. Its price will skyrocket, but the Baron replies that it is not time yet. He also insists not to tell anyone about this for now, to which the worker agrees, and asks if they will leave the painting for safekeeping, to which the guy replies that no, and let them send it to his home. And besides, I wonder if they can send the expert opinion along with the painting. The worker replies that it will be done, and a little while later, they are already leaving the shop. Ryan wonders if Kyle was such a great artist. Raven replies that it depends on how you look at it. The young man claims that he will then ask differently and asks if it is possible to sell this painting for a high price. Daniel claims that it can be sold for a decent price, and the guy says that it is good. But on the other hand, the Baron claims that it can be dangerous. The prince also says that people might appear who want to steal her because the house is big and only women live in it. After which, he asks if that is why he said to keep everything a secret. Ryan also approaches the Baron and claims that he has a question, as he said to have the painting delivered to his home. And was it because he thought it was dangerous to keep her in that mansion where only ladies live? Daniel replies that this is correct, and Ryan understands that he never answers if the question is formulated correctly. Then he also asks if he might be interested in one of the girls from the Brands family. Daniel replies that to be more precise, he is interested not in one of the Brands, but in their mansion. The guy asks if this is really true, and his interlocutor replies that there was a time when His Highness's grandmother temporarily lived in that house. The young man then asks if his grandmother really wants to buy him. Now Daniel replies that she doesn't. And then the guy wonders what then. She thinks about her grandmother in that big old mansion. But then something comes to his mind, and the young man wonders if the Baron really did take the painting for himself, just to protect the girls of the Brands family. The man replies that he thinks if he wants to buy a mansion, now is the time. Ryan thinks that since the Brands family's financial situation is not the best, they will not refuse the offer to buy the mansion. Well, and besides, if they replace the painting with a copy, they won't be able to sell it. So the young man asks if the gentleman is going to do this, and he replies that he doesn't know. A little while later, the guy says that it is so delicious there, and the Baron agrees with him. The young man then asks why Daniel didn't show him this wonderful restaurant before. The man understands that in the fairy tale fountain, there are many dishes that are difficult to find in their country, but he does not think that the slightly earthly, unfamiliar food will suit his taste. The prince doesn't even want to touch the food sold in street eateries. At this time, the young man turns to the Baron and asks if he has visited that house since their last visit. The man replies that yes, and he was there yesterday, and the young man swallows and asks how they are. Daniel asks what he's talking about, and the guy replies that he's talking about the ladies who live there, and they didn't think anything strange when he left. Unexpectedly, Barun claims that since they were talking about it, Miss Iris Brands was wondering if Ryan had come to the ball. After this, the guy wimpily asks who she gave her first dance to. The Baron smiles and claims that she danced with her uncle, Count Murphy. After which the young man sighs and says that the Count was definitely there. Ryan also says that he does not have the opportunity to dance with Iris during the ball. Daniel asks why, and the young man replies that if he approaches the world, then she and everyone around her will immediately recognize him. And then Iris will understand who he really is. Daniel asks if she can't know about it, after which he even suggests the guy to go. A little while later, they are already on the street. Ryan wonders if there is magic that will allow only those close to him to see his true face. But the Baron wonders if it is worth resorting to magic for this. The young man then asks if he wants to tell that you can just order everyone to pretend they don't know who he is, and the Baron smirks. He also wonders if His Highness really wants to resort to magic to dance with Miss Brands, after which the young man becomes embarrassed and replies that he does not at all. At that moment, someone bumps into the Baron and then apologizes. The young man then says that they just won't think something strange about Rihanna. Daniel claims that he told them that he was from a noble family, and the young man claims that in that case, maybe he should show up at one of the parties so they can believe he's from a noble family, after which they move on. And the Baron claims that he is not against His Highness meeting with the girls of the Brands family, but he did not say anything about him needing to get closer to them. The young man asks why the Baron says this, and he asks if he is meeting with them out of pity. The young man then tells the Baron to apologize, and when he turns to the guy, His Highness then claims that Iris is not one to attract attention to herself with pity. She is smart and talented, and also perfect in herself. The man then remembers Iris, and he also starts thinking about Mildred, and says that it is understandable, so he asks for forgiveness. But the young man then says that they are in front of him and let him apologize to Iris. But then he notices that they are in an alley, and he realizes that he is there for the first time, and also asks the Baron where they are going. At this time they approach several guys who are laughing, and the man says that he has not arrived yet, after which he pulls the guy towards himself, and a little while later, someone runs up to them and screams for them to look. The guy claims he hit the jackpot, and that these are gold coins. One of the guys asks if this is true, and also offers to return them. Well, others ask if he's crazy, if he's jealous. That's why he says that. But the young man says that everything is not like that at all. At this time, the Baron begins to approach him, and the guy asks what it is. Daniel asks what he thinks, but the thief tells his brother not to do anything stupid and to just leave. The Baron claims that it seems they arrived on their lands only recently, to which one of them replies that everything is correct, therefore begs him not to do anything. The thief then asks if he is talking about this wallet, because if so, he returns it back and asks if he is happy. Daniel claims that everything is fine, and he can keep it because he deserves it. But at that very moment the man falls and asks why he can't move. His Highness at this time only turns away and leaves, after which everyone hears some screams. Iris turns to her mother at this point and asks if she thinks it's appropriate to greet her without waiting to be introduced. The main character replies that the Viscountess herself invited them, so everything is fine. She also realizes that it would be better if Lily and Ashley could go with them. A little while later, they are already at the ball, and someone addresses Mrs. Brands and greets her. The main character thanks the lady for the invitation and claims that she looks great and her outfit is magnificent. The woman then thanks her but asks if the lady thinks something is missing. The main character asks if that is so, and her interlocutor invites the lady to take a look and asks if she thinks there should be something there. Mildred smiles and says that the lady is unlikely to like lace. Her interlocutor says that as she supposed, the lady knows a thing or two about it. The woman then claims that the last time she was at the palace during the ball, she saw the lady's daughter's dress. She then approaches Mildred and offers to sell her the rights to the flower decorations. The main character asks if she is talking about selling, and the woman replies that in that case, only she and Mrs. Brands will be able to use this decoration. After which the woman approaches the main character and asks what she will say. The lady also whispers what amount she offers in return. The main character is surprised by this and understands that the Viscountess offered a very large sum, but the father of the flowers does not actually represent anything special. Anyone who knows the basics of handicrafts can make them. But what seems like a trifle to her, it may be of great value in one world. And for some reason the lady was suddenly overcome with fear. The main character thinks what else she might know, but at that very moment one of the daughters turns to their mother. A short time later, the Viscountess apologizes and claims that she was only thinking about herself and was not at all concerned that her words might shock the missus. Mildred suggests that she not apologize, but the Viscountess replies that she has turned pale and so offers to drink some tea to help her come to her senses. The main character nods, but thinks about what she should do, because the society of this country condemns aristocrats who work for money. She also thinks whether she can make a deal. After all, selling rights is not where problems should arise. Well, the girl thinks how she can prove her rights to this decoration, and who she can ask about it. Well, at that very moment the girl remembers the Baron. The lady immediately drives these thoughts away from herself, after which he thanks the Viscountess for the offer. However, he claims that it was very unexpected, and she needs to think everything over. Mildred asks if she can give her some time. The lady with the red hair apologizes for bringing it up so suddenly, and also suggests that the missus should rest while she is going away. When this woman leaves, the main character sighs, and her daughter asks what happened. Mildred replies that the Viscountess wants her to sell her the rights to the flowers that decorated Iris's dress. The girl asks if Mother is really talking about rights to flower decorations, and if that is really possible. Mildred replies that the lady wants them to be used only by them. But Iris claims that they are very easy to make, and the main character says that nevertheless, only they know how to make them. The lady's daughter asks if they will be paid for the deal, and the main character replies that of course, after which she names the amount. Iris, hearing her, is shocked and wonders what Mother Heat will do and whether she will agree. Mildred understands that it would be lying if it said it didn't need the money, but it's not that simple. The woman claims that problems may arise if they sell the rights to the jewelry and other people start making it, and those who had the hint will quickly figure out the secret of their creation because it is very simple. Iris says that in this case you need to think realistically, and the main character suggests that she not worry because there is another way. Lily is in the mansion at this time and suddenly says that she is hungry. The girl also notices that the sun has already set and thinks that she was too concentrated. The girl puts her pencil in its case and heads to the kitchen. Well, she also thinks where Ashley went. As the lady moves on, she smells smoke and wonders if something is burning. Then she sees her sister and wonders what's going on. The blonde Liddy is just scared. Lily asks what the girl is doing with the tray, and she replies that she is airing it out. Lily wonders if something is burnt, and the girl replies that no, and that she just went away to change her dress. Lily looks at the burnt bread and then realizes that there is nothing she can do about it. She suggests cutting off the burnt part, and then it will be possible to eat. The girl also asks if they have anything else about her interlocutor, answers that onions and ham. Lily suggests bringing them because they can eat them together with bread. A little while later, the girl is already cutting the ham and also offers to cut off 2 pieces. Ashley asks if that's really possible, but her sister wonders what happened with Togo. 5, and sister won't be back until after dinner, after which the girl cuts 2 pieces each and they head off to dine. 2 ladies carry food from the cutlery to the greenhouse. Ashley asks if her sister thinks they can eat there. The girl replies that they will eat and clean everything before mother and sister arrive. The girl also shows that she grabbed some lemonade, and when she pours it into glasses, to propose a drink for mother and sister. To return late, he adds about his thoughts that also for her to be able to draw to her heart's content after the train. Ashley looks at her sister at this time and realizes that she wanted to treat Lily because she was so focused on drawing. Well, the girl almost cries and wonders why she can't even do this. She also understands that it is very embarrassing. Lily notices the expression on her sister's face and asks what happened. The girl replies that nothing and asks if the bread smells burned. Lily replies that no, and everything is fine, and also that it is delicious. The lady with the blonde hair claims that it got burned, but her sister says that everything is fine and asks what is wrong with it because the burnt part can just be cut off. And besides, if she cooked, they would sit down to dinner very late. Ashley timidly answers that, indeed. And when she tries the bread, she says, "It's delicious." The girl also looks at the glass roof, and she tells her sister that this is her first time eating in the greenhouse. Lily asks if this is true, and what about her childhood? Her interlocutor replies that she hardly ever went there as a child. But Lily claims that this is a greenhouse in her house, but the girl understands that her father was very rarely at home. The lady also remembers how her father married Mildred and how she was disliked. Lily brings the girl out of her thoughts and says that he probably locked the greenhouse, and her mother didn't have much interest in plants. Lily then asks what Ashley's real mother was like. The blonde replies that she doesn't remember well, but her interlocutor wonders if the girl didn't keep a portrait of her mother. And before she thought that the girl was deliberately hiding him from them, Ashley thinks about her mother and understands that, until last year, she prayed that her mother would stop hating her and thought that she didn't love her because she was different from her sisters. Well, now, mother has changed a lot, and it's like a dream. Ashley wonders if mother hates her and if she likes her. The blonde wants her to love her. A little while later, the main character runs into one of the rooms. She turns to Mr. Walford and asks which fabric is the best. The guy then greets her, and the main character realizes that she just ran into the room and then greets Mr. Walford. The Baron claims that he thought the lady might need help, so he arrived early. Mildred replies that he is just in time, and she really does need his help. The girl places two fabrics on a chair and asks which one is better. Mildred states that she wanted to wear a skirt with a fresh floral pattern, but it seems that it is too bright for tea drinking, and it is probably better to choose a simple one. So the girl asks him how, because she thinks that it is best suited to appear with dignity before the Dowager Queen, but she is also afraid that it will be too boring. Mildred realizes that the floral pattern is too flashy, and it's an unusual tea party for a fat queen, so she doesn't even know what's acceptable and what's not. The Baron says everything is fine. Letty asks if he thinks the floral pattern won't work. Daniel replies that no, and the missus is beautiful in any outfit. The girl understands that he is constantly flattering her, and the guy asks if she is really already wearing formal clothes on top. The main character replies that yes, and the guy claims that in that case, he thinks the purple skirt would suit him better, but Mildred asks if it's too flashy. The Baron replies that the only thing that catches the eye there is Mrs.'s smile. Well, the main character understands that he is up to his old tricks again. The lady is also going to leave for another room, and he claims that she will quickly change and come. A little while later, they are already riding in a carriage. Mildred asks what the Baron was thinking about before they got into the carriage. The girl also understands that he was clearly talking about something with Lily. Well, the man replies that it is a secret. Mildred said that she was Lily's mother and should know if it concerned her daughter. The Baron replies that the lady is right and he was going to tell her, but for now it is a secret. The woman asks why, and her interlocutor replies that he has not yet decided whether to fulfill Miss Lily's request or not. Mildred asks if her daughter really asked him for something, and the Baron replies that she approached him with a very small request. The main character asks if he can do it, and the guy replies that it's also a secret. When the girl leans on his back, he claims that he has too many secrets, And the guy claims that when talking about secrets, he remembered that the verification of the painting had already been completed. The main character wonders if this is true and understands that she initially did not find it and did not expect it. But Lily said she saw an article in the newspaper that said Kyle's paintings were up for auction, and she thought how good Kyle was that they mentioned it in the newspaper. It's unlikely that they had a painting like that in their house. Daniel replies that he examined the painting himself and also conducted an examination at the auction house to obtain a written certificate. The main character says that he shouldn't have bothered so much with the guy, and he replies that it's a mandatory procedure, and for greater safety, he sent the painting to be stored in his home. The main character says that this is normal. But then he understands the whole situation and asks if the painting is really that expensive. The man replies that it is Kyle's work, and he asks if he didn't say that his paintings are highly valued. The main character replies that he said it, but she wasn't sure it was genuine. Daniel replies that it is indeed an original, and he thinks the price will be high. The main character thinks that it turns out that this is not a fake, but they say that Kyle did not have such large-scale paintings. That's why the girl wonders whether an artist known for his small works would paint such a large picture. The guy replies that he could have drawn her to order, and the main character understands what it means that he, like other artists, could have had a patron. The man claims that this is why he and the expert assume that there may be other works of his in her house. It is possible that one of the previous owners of the mansion was Kyle's patron, and if so, a big discovery awaits them. He will also be grateful if the lady allows him to look at the paintings in her mansion again. The main character realizes that this is a truly amazing discovery and claims that Mr. Walford really loves art. But the guy asks if not everyone loves to look at beautiful things, after which he looks at the lady and also claims that it seems they have arrived. When the lady gets out of the carriage, the Baron extends his hand to help her. And moving on, the main character states that frankly speaking, she does not know whether she can accept this because such things are too profitable for her. The guy then claims that this discovery is beneficial, not only for her, because he will be mentioned as the person who made it, and he hopes that if the missus decides to sell the painting, she will do it with his appraiser. Mildred asks if he is not talking about his friend, about his own appraiser. But anyway, she thanks the Baron for keeping the painting for them. The man asks the lady not to thank him, because this is what he has to do. And the main character claims that it means that they can start selling it after examining the rest of the paintings in their house. The guy replies that yes, as he told her, there is a chance that they will find other works of Kyle. Mildred smiles and thinks that they can make good money even on one painting that they found. And if there are more, it will be just wonderful. But at the same moment, the girl smells the flowers and thinks that it is very beautiful. When they are about to go into a place for tea, the main character takes the Baron by the arm. One of the servants informs Her Majesty that Mrs. Brands has arrived. When the two approach, the Baron informs Her Majesty that he brought Mrs. Brands. The main character bows and says that it is a great honor for her to be invited by Her Majesty. The Queen claims that the lady was probably confused by the unexpected invitation, but the girl replies that she was not. The lady thinks that although she was confused, this meeting with the Dowager Queen could still have a beneficial effect on the future of her girls. Daniel claims that the Earl of Jackson's wife is next to Her Majesty, and therefore he asks the Countess to allow him to introduce Mrs. Brands to her. The Queen turns to the Baron and says that he can go free. The main character wonders if he should really leave after the performance, and now she felt even more uncomfortable. But the guy asked Her Majesty if she would treat him to a cup of tea. The woman replies that it was planned that only ladies would be at this meeting, but she will not stop him. He will not take part. The main character claims that there are no places more worthy and better than those intended for ladies. The woman then asks if it's okay that she personally chose the type of tea, and the main character says that it's an honor for her. Her Highness insists that everything is fine, and there is no need to act so constrained. After all, she heard about the lady during the last reception, and she was interested in her, so she invited the girl to her. Mildred states that it is an honor for her, after which the woman puts down her fork and also says that it has been 2 years since Mrs. Mildred's husband went missing. The main character replies that yes, but she understands that she didn't think that she knew about it and that Daniel really told her. The Queen says it must have been hard for the lady to be without her husband for these 2 years. She has raised beautiful daughters on her own, and that is commendable. Mildred thanks Her Highness, but still claims that her husband is not much help when it comes to raising children. Mildred understands that they constantly talk about the fact that she does not have a husband, although men in noble families do not worry at all about raising children. The Queen says that the lady has correctly noted, however, a man is needed in the house, because the well-being of the family and the home depends on him. Mildred replies that Her Majesty is right, and if there were a man in the house, their family's life would be much more prosperous. The girl understands that even having actually lost her husband, Mildred spent all this time with dignity. The presence of a man in the house is always necessary, and the girl thinks, isn't she right? The Queen says that this is true, and one must be strong to raise children without a husband. At this time, the Countess notices that another story has reached her. According to rumors at one of the receptions, the lady was made an indecent proposal. It seems that some disgusting meetings were hinted at to her, and the lady immediately rejected this offer. The main character wonders if they talk about that scoundrel at the reception with Viscount Ecardo. A little while ago, the man claimed that this would not be difficult for a lady. She will just have to meet him sometimes, and they will spend time talking, having lunch or dinner. The lady will even be able to enjoy performances in the opera hall with him. This man claimed that he was ready to offer her any amount for the time spent with him, and of course he would pay for all her outfits and whims. The main character asked if he was in his right mind, and also asked Mr. Batna if he even realized what he was offering her now. She doesn't know how rich he is, but if he dared to approach her with such a proposal, he is clearly devoid of morality and honor. The man then asked the lady to wait, but she only turned menacingly towards him, after which she even claimed that she would have plunged him into eternal sleep that very moment if they had not been witnesses. Therefore, he should be grateful to the wife of Viscount Ecardo for saving his worthless life. Now the main character understands that one can encounter anything during one's life. The girl also looks at the Baron and thinks that it is as if a hot wind has blown over her. She also wonders if there really is a stove there somewhere, and the Queen claims that today's youth are completely unable to resist temptation. The Countess replies that Her Highness is right, and of course it is a pity, but lately young ladies easily fall into sin. The main character thinks that it is awkward when she is called young because she is 37 years old. And what's more, they discuss the morality of the young while calmly sipping tea and cake in the fresh air on a clear spring day. Mildred realizes that her health has suddenly improved, but the Queen insists that Letty is not giving in to temptation, and she would like to praise her for this. The main character understands that according to Mildred's memories, the Dowager Queen was 60 years old, after which the girl sighs completely, and the Countess claims that by the way the lady's daughter was wearing a gorgeous dress. The main character says that apparently they met with Iris, and the woman replies that they met her during the debut, and she asked her not to tell the missus about it. The Queen adds that the decorations on her dress were simply amazing, and another lady states that many admired this outfit, and that the missus must often be asked to reveal the secret of making these flowers. The main character replies that there were no such events, but there was an offer to sell the secret. Well, the Countess is shocked and asks if the lady is talking about selling. The main character wonders why she was so surprised, And can't it be sold? The queen at this time, he claims that it is unwise to act rashly. After all, good comes back to them through good deeds, and one should not look only at the benefit that is clearly visible. The lady's actions will definitely return with good, and the main character thinks, is she really saying that I need to take money? Mildred tells Her Majesty that she recently praised her for not giving in to temptation while raising children alone without a husband. But she also bears responsibility for the future successful marriage of her 3 daughters. This year, her eldest daughter turned 19, and as the lady said, there is no man in their house who could take care of her. So she wondered if there was a reason why she should give up selling her idea and remain selfless and hope for help from others. The main character realizes that unlike Ashley, Iris, and Lily do not have a godmother who could help them. And besides, they are in a difficult financial situation, so the girl thinks about this damn Fred. The queen replies that when they do good deeds, the heavens themselves help them. Well, the main character thinks that she is so naive. Daniel was right, and she thought that the dowager queen who believed in love, given by fate itself, was a romantic by nature. But she turned out to be simply naive. The girl understands that perhaps for the dowager queen, this is in the order of things, but she still asks if it would be an act of kindness if she simply shared what she had with others. Mildred understands that this is not kindness, and that kindness is done in a completely different way. This woman is like a preacher who once misunderstood the essence of kindness. He tries to convey to her his idea of the truth, but the girl thinks the same thing. Isn't she being too bold with the dowager queen? When the lady looks at the baron, she sees his calm face and sighs. At this point, the queen asks whether this means that the lady did not like her advice about selflessly helping people. The main character answers Her Highness that this is not so, and she is simply curious when such a kind person, as she said, will appear before her and help her. Mildred understands that she is not the only one who can help everyone, and that people should help each other. At this time, the woman wonders if this is why the lady is not going to share the secret of creating jewelry. Mildred replies that if the queen wishes, she can reveal this secret to her. However, she also tells Her Majesty that her children have almost nothing, and for the sake of a decent future, they need to use everything they have to somehow stand out in society. After which, she even asks if Her Majesty and Lady Valerie really want to know how to make flowers. The baron can't help but laugh after this, but pretends to cough. The countess asks, from there, what happened? And Daniel just apologizes and asks them to continue the conversation. The main character wonders if he really did it again, and she knows that he is laughing now. The queen at this time wonders if the lady had said that she was going to sell the secret of their creation. Well, she answers the girls that the lady told her not to do this, and she thought she would order new dresses for the girls after receiving the money. The baron then realized, looked at the lady and smiled, and also tried to calm down. The queen at this time says that she heard that the lady's father was an earl, and says that since she is from a noble family, the lady should not show love for money. The main character smiles and tells Her Majesty that it may seem ridiculous, but she refused the indecent offer. Not because she is such a highly moral person, because she can also say that the man here was not to her taste. And she refused him, first of all because it could have a bad effect on the future of her children. The girl thinks that she doesn't know whether to say it or not. Well, then she claims that she recently said that young ladies are easily tempted. But has Her Majesty ever wondered why this is actually happening? The countess at that moment cries out, "How dare a lady lecture Her Majesty?" And the rebuke is unheard of insolence. And the main character understands that if she were her former self, from her past life, she would probably be of the same opinion as them. But this is not the world she lived in. In this country, girls of noble birth have no opportunity to earn money. Aristocratic women deprived of male support are doomed to perish. And to get out of this situation, they have to enter into alliances with rich men. From her point of view, many people in this country behave unreasonably, and the girl thinks why she ended up in Mildred's body and why she is there. A little while later, the main character tells Daniel that he must have had a hard time because of her. The guy tells Miss that not at all, but the main character claims that it seemed to her that his godmother was not in a good mood at the end. The Baron claims that everything is not quite as she thought, and on the contrary, he would like to ask the lady if her mood has worsened. The main character replies that everything is fine, after which she sighs and claims that to tell the truth, it has gotten a little worse. However, given the age and lifestyle of the Dowager Queen, it is quite understandable. Well, the girl also says that he is very generous, and also it is difficult for an adult to change his views. The girl thinks that there is no point in being offended by such things, after which she claims that she is worried that the Dowager Queen might not like her. Well, the Baron says that the lady shouldn't worry about this, because the Dowager Queen is not one of those who can dislike someone. Mildred claims that he says this because she is his godmother, and the girl asks if she will arrange for her and her daughters not to be invited to social events. The Baron replies that in that case, he will invite the lady, and is most importantly extremely interested in whether this is normal. And also, what if Her Majesty is against it? But the guy replies that he doesn't think she will be against it, but even if she is, oh, he will side with Mrs. Mildred. The main character then smiles and thanks the Baron for his kind words. Her Majesty at this time sits in her room and then turns to Countess Miranda. The woman answers, and the Queen tells her to answer honestly. What would she do if she lost her husband and had no son? And how would she live then? The Countess distinguishes that she believes in such a situation with Her Highness to take care of her. Well, the woman says that the lady should imagine that she is not there either, and that there is no one who could take care of her and help her. The woman then freezes and asks if Her Majesty really means that if she had not given birth to a son and lost her husband, then there would not be a single man in her family. Her interlocutor replies that this is true, and there would be no person who could help her. The woman claims that in this case, she will marry another man who could provide for her and head their family. Well, then the Queen asks, what if she can't get married? And let's say the lady is no longer young, and she has many daughters, and also no man wants to take her as a wife. The girl then tells Her Majesty that in that case, she has absolutely no idea how she should live. But the Queen wonders what if in such a situation, she has the ability to sew magnificent dresses, and will she sell them? The Countess then tells Her Majesty that if she does so, no one will want to communicate with her. The woman smiles and crowns that I will wrap up, because no matter what the situation, they should not show weakness and lose pride. The Queen understands that everything she has now was given to her through the suffering she had to endure, and she did the right thing. The Countess at this time tells Her Majesty that it is true, and that if she finds herself in a very sad situation, then it would be better for her to plunge into eternal sleep. The woman is shocked by this, at which time another countess turns to Her Majesty and asks if she should make tea, to which she replies that yes, she wants something sweet, after which she also turns to Miranda, and she claims that she wants to meet again with Mrs. Brands, who arrived today. The lady wonders if she is talking about that impudent person, and the woman slurps and also says that the girl should bring her so that no one notices, because only they should know about this, to which the Countess agrees. A little while later, she already arrives at the estate of the main character, and when the girl comes out, she asks if she is Mrs. Mildred Brands. Lydia answers that it is she. Well, she is interested in what is the matter. The Countess replies that she has arrived from the palace, and her name is Miranda Byrne, and that the lady is also looking for the pestering queen. A little while later, they are already heading in a carriage, and the main character wonders if people will tell her the reason why Her Majesty is secretly calling her. The Countess replies that she is merely carrying out Her Majesty's will, and Mildred understands that she quickly got ready and said goodbye to the children. Well, she taught the girls not to go alone, and to stick together if they were going somewhere, and to always give notice when leaving. Of course, she should also follow these rules. Well, the woman claimed that the Dowager Queen had secretly summoned her to the palace, and if she didn't return by tomorrow, they were to contact Baron Walford. The girl wonders if she relies too much on Daniel, and he has already helped them many times. Well then, the girl thinks, does he really like that one, and that one of her girls? When the main character arrives at the estate, the Countess escorts her. The main character following her notices that they even have a special secret passage for organizing secret meetings. When the girl enters the room to Her Majesty, she greets her. She also claims that she prepared tea in advance, but it has cooled down a little. Mildred, sitting in front of the Queen, realizes that she thought she would be put off by the insolence she showed last time, but she even prepared tea. The main character wonders if there is something mixed in it. The Countess at this time turns to Her Majesty and asks if it is worth brewing fresh tea, but the woman replies that it is not worth it. The main character then sighs and thinks that she can have a drink, but the Queen says that first she wants to apologize. Last time she was too picky and also not very generous and treated the lady rudely. Therefore, she asks her to forgive her for this. The main character asks what Her Majesty is talking about and what forgiveness, because she has the right to say what she considers necessary. However, the girl thinks that if she had chickened out and given in then, now I would have shared unique information without receiving anything in return, and would have asked for forgiveness from Her Majesty for not immediately doing as she said. She also thinks that it is true that the Queen behaved rudely while eating comfortably, but she knows that every ruler can easily admit his mistake. The Queen argues that even if she has the right, it does not mean that she should say so. She also looks at the Countess, who bows and then leaves. The main character understands that now the conversation is truly secret. The Empress asks the lady to tell her what she needs. She understands that her situation is not easy, and for this reason she could not accept her offer last time. So let the lady just say, and if she needs something, then she will present it to her as a change. The main character asks if Her Majesty will give her what she needs, and the woman replies that it is true. Mildred wonders if it can be anything, and her interlocutor replies that everything is within reason. In this case, the main character asks Her Majesty to support her. The woman asks if she is talking about support, and the lady replies that she is, and let the lady support her in all the affairs that she will start. The lady understands that she was looking for an opportunity to do business in high society one way or another. You need to open a business to make money, and if you open it, you will have to leave high society. But if she leaves there, she won't be able to do anything for her children. And the girl thinks what kind of vicious circle this is. The Empress then agrees, stating that before making a decision, she would like to know the lady's intentions. The main character then smiles and agrees, and also tells Her Highness about it. A little while later, the girl's 3 daughters are already heading somewhere. The blonde is trying to fix her dress, but she understands that it does not work. The main character turns to her at this time. Then he tells her to come there. Ashley is a little nervous and wants to say that there are mothers there. And the main character wonders if she was too hasty with the idea of introducing her first. Lily notices how her sister hesitates to approach, after which he keeps pushing her and telling her to go forward. Mildred thanks Lily, and Ashley thanks her too. The girl smiles and responds, after which the main character goes to the other aristocrats, and the woman greets her. Mildred thanks them for the invitation and introduces herself. Her interlocutor replies that she is pleased to meet you and says that her name is Isabelle Robin. Mildred realizes that Isabelle is the wife of the Marquis of Robin, and the reason she accepted the invitation and brought Ashley there is because Isabelle is the Queen's senior lady-in-waiting and the closest person to the royal family. The main character asks the tar to introduce her daughters to them, and then introduces them. Mildred realizes that maybe thanks to them, she can help Ashley meet the prince. The girl also realizes that it seems she wants too much, but Cinderella must meet the prince. She also wonders where the fairy godmother went. At this time, the Marquise introduces her husband, and the main character says that she is glad to meet him. Her name is My Laird Bronze. and she is also the younger sister of Count Murphy. The man claims that he knows the lady's brother and that they attended the same academy. The main character imagines this and then claims that she remembers and that he was a year older than her brother. The Marquise wonders if the lady knows him too, and the girl replies that she saw him when her brother entered the academy, but she did not have the opportunity to greet him. The lady remembers how she sat in the carriage, feeling not very well, while her brother was sent to the academy. Now the girl understands that she has Mildred's memories, and this is her melancholy. The other lady at this time says that if she knew about their connection, she would have certainly invited the lady earlier. The main character smiles in response to this, and then claims that they will see each other later. The main character also turns to her daughters and tells them to come through, to which they agree, after which they see another aristocrat as sons, and they all turn their attention to Ashley. And the main character understands that for the most part, men and noble families are exactly like that, but Daniel and Ryan, unlike them, paid attention not only to Ashley, and therefore the girls, and she felt comfortable with them. At this time, the Marchioness approaches the lady and says that she hopes they are having a good time. The musicians will soon start playing, so she thinks that the gentleman will definitely invite these lovely young ladies to dance. She also turns to Mrs. Brands and asks if she would like to join her, to which the main character replies that she would be happy to. A little while later, the Marquise is already handing the main character a glass of drink. Mildred thanks her, and her interlocutor claims that the lady's daughters have a gorgeous dress, so many people must have already paid attention to them. The main character understands that this is what she and the lady did not call her to talk about Ashley, but she already has thoughts on how to use the flowers and decorations, and she also has a few words for the Dowager Queen, and the girl claims that many are interested in them. Her interlocutor then says that she hopes the video will be able to get a decent reward, and the main character says that the Marquise is so kind. The woman claims that God grant that her daughters will make good matches. But this year, the Queen shows a special interest in young girls. Mildred wonders if she is talking about interest, or if she might be hinting that she will help with her children's marriage if she transfers the right to jewelry to her. The main character understands that she is always glad of interest. Well, at that very moment, someone comes up to them and says that this is where the Marquise is. The woman then turns around and says that this is Mr. Casey. The guy bows and thanks the Marquise for the invitation, but she claims that she thought he wouldn't come and thanks him for not forgetting about them. The man asks how he could miss their reception, but the Marquise turns to Mrs. Brands and says that she will introduce them to each other. The woman says that Mr. Douglas Casey is in front of her. He is the son of the Marquise Casey, and coincidentally the fencing teacher of His Highness. After which the Marquise introduces him to Mrs. Mildred Brands, and the main character thinks, what kind of world is this? She also hopes that they chose the teacher not by his appearance. This man is a handsome man, but he is not quite up to Daniel. The Marquise, at this time, says that this Mr. is her favorite gentleman, and of course not in a romantic sense. After which the guy with red hair wants to go, "Good evening, evening," and claims that he is at her service. Palm also takes the lady's hand, and the main character is a little surprised by this. After he kisses her, he says that he is glad to meet her, and the lady replies that she is too, and also understands that she is too used to Daniel's politeness, and the girl thinks that they usually do this without permission. Casey, at this point, apologizes and claims that he is not very experienced in social life and knows little about ladies. The main character claims that she is the sister of Earl Murphy, and her children debuted this year. The Marchioness adds that Mrs. Brands has 3 charming daughters, after which she asks Mrs. Brands if she would like to introduce her daughters to Mr. Casey. The man replies that it would be an honor for him to meet her daughters, and then the main character offers to follow her. A little while later, she introduces her daughters, and the man says that he is pleased to meet them, after which he introduces himself. The main character adds that Mr. Casey teaches fencing to His Highness, and the girls are delighted by this. The man, noticing this, is a little embarrassed and claims that he is simply trying to help His Highness as best he can. The main character, looking at him, understands that maybe this man is younger than she thought, but he looks the same age as Daniel. Although his reaction is cute, the girl also turns to Mr. Casey and asks if he came alone. The guy answers that yes, and he came right after work and didn't even have time to change. He also apologizes for appearing before them in such a state, and the Marquise replies that it is nothing to worry about. The main character understands that this is the royal fencing teacher and also the Marquise's son, and it seems that he is still a little younger than Daniel. And perhaps Douglas is already married or has a fiancé. But even if this is not the case, it is unlikely that the Marquise will agree to marry his son to one of her daughters. However, she does not know what she will do if Iris and Lily cannot marry the one they love and will grieve. The main character sighs and thinks, what a sad picture this is. She does not understand why they are surrounded by good-for-nothing men. After all, one of them is an adult, the second is poor, the third is possibly engaged. The man with red hair was saying at that time that if the lady didn't mind, let him invite one of their daughters to dance. Iris, at this time, apologizes and claims that she has already promised another person, and Ashley says that her legs hurt. The main character thinks, is it really true that everyone has an instant refusal, and Iris even managed to escape? Mildred understands that she is not able to force them and cannot do anything. But such a situation will not look very good in the brown eyes of the Marquise Robin. When Lily also wants to refuse, the main character pushes her in the shoulder, after which the girl claims that it is an honor for her, and then goes to dance with Mr. Casey. The main character sighs and thinks that Lily is the best. Mildred also turns to the Marquise and says that the Marquise must be pleased that he has such a wonderful son. The woman replies that the lady is right, but it would be even better if he got married sooner. Sometimes there is a feeling that worthy men get married later than others. The main character thinks that means he is still free. But this guy looks like a baron, she knows. Well, Mildred also says that he probably already has a fiancé. Her interlocutor replies that he was engaged twice, but both engagements ended sadly, and the main heroine asks if it is true. The woman replies that of course the problem was not with Mr. Casey. The main character thinks that this is surprising because two brides escaped from men, and they think that the problem is not with him. Lydia replies that it is true, and Mr. Casey is a wonderful young man, but he is always unlucky. The lady also whispers that they say he received a gift from a fairy, and there is a rumor in the States that the gift is connected with marriage. The main character understands that, of course, she knows that there are fairies in this world. After all, Cinderella received help from the fairy godmother, but she did not think that they would be spoken about openly, and asks if the Marchioness talks about the fairy's gift. The woman replies that yes, but no one except Mr. Casey's parents doesn't know what it really is, and the main character says that it means the market didn't tell anyone about it. Mildred wonders if the Marquis really didn't tell anyone, and wonders when he could have received the fairy's gift. And also, what kind of gift is this, since he deprived him of luck? And the girl thinks that if he turns out to be dangerous for Lily, in that case, she will immediately trample him with her heels. The aristocrats at this time ask who is the lady with whom Mr. Casey is now dancing. And then everyone tells him that she looks like one of the Miss Brands. Daniel listens to this and stops, and when he looks away, he sees Mildred there, and when he goes up to her, he wishes her good evening. The main character turns around and smiles at him, after which the guy is a little surprised. The Marchioness also notices Baron Walford, and the guy smiles in response and thanks her for the invitation, and says that the Marchioness has organized a wonderful evening. The woman thanks him for coming, and also claims that both of His Highness's tutors attended her reception. So she is flattered. Daniel claims that even if he had not come, Mr. Casey would have definitely dropped in, because he had long intended to visit her. The woman then smiles and also claims that he is now dancing with Mrs. Brands's second daughter, and the main character smiles in response. The Baron then turns to Mrs. Brands and answers that she did not expect to meet Mr. Walford there. The man asks if that's true, then holds out his hand and asks if that means the lady didn't expect him to ask her to dance. Mildred replies that she has to look after the children, but then she realizes that all the aristocrats are looking at them, and yet she extends her hand to him in response and thanks him for the invitation. When they start dancing, the main character asks what's going on, and the Baron asks what she's talking about. The lady asks if he asked her to dance for something other than to tell her something. And the guy turns to the lady again and asks if he can't just ask her for something. The woman replies that he is famous for not asking anyone to dance. And Daniel understands that this is true, because he usually does not dance at social events. A little while ago, someone approached the Baron and claimed that recently he began to appear more often in society, and this year he participates in social life significantly more than last year. So it seems that this time, a lady appeared who interested the Baron. When the guy was heading further, someone else addressed him. The guy wished Countess Steward a good evening, and the woman with a smile on her face said that they had not seen each other for a long time. She also claimed that she had recently heard an interesting story and was curious whether it was true or not. It was said that the Dowager Queen had invited a lady to tea and that he had introduced the lady to Her Majesty, and she also heard that Her Majesty was very upset by this meeting. The Baron asked if this was true. The lady asked if it was not true, to which he replied that he did not know. The guy wondered how the rumors about that meeting spread so quickly. Despite the fact that Her Majesty has long since retired from affairs, she is still the most authoritative person in the kingdom. And if Her Majesty was offended by that meeting, then it is unknown what kind of gossip and rumors are now circulating in society. These rumors can be disastrous for Mildred, and there were 4 of them that day, so he is sure that the one who spread the rumors was Countess Valerie. The guy also thinks how dare she, and when he went further, he claimed that soon the lady will know about everything. Daniel understands that firstly people seeing their dance will think that the rumors are false, and that with the help of a couple in dance, you can get rid of gossip. It is for this reason that he asked Mildred to dance, and secondly, of course, he just wanted to dance with her. The guy then puts his hand on the lady's waist and claims that the hosts of the party would be disappointed if their guest left without even dancing once, so the missus saved him. The main character wonders if he means that the dance with the married woman we give my saved him from unwanted attention. She also says that it's good, and since the Baron helped them, she should help him too. Well, the guy asks if he really helped them, after which the girl replies that he did invite Lily to dance during the debut. The guy then says, yes. The main character, looking at his expression, wonders if this is really the case, and if there are any rumors, and maybe a rumor is spreading, that she angered the Dowager Queen, and with his invitation to dance, he is trying to help her. Mildred then sighs and says that Mr. Walford is a good man, although she does not always understand his intentions. The guy then thanks Mrs. One of the autocrats, watching this dance, says that no matter how you look at it, it seems that these rumors were false, but the other lady says she doesn't know, and understands that Countess Jackson was very excited, so she thinks it's not without reason. The woman cried out that she doesn't understand how anyone can be so impudent. The Dowager Queen was so depressed that she asked them for sweets, which she usually doesn't do. It was the first time she had met such an arrogant person, and she was giving advice to Her Majesty. Now the girl is watching the dance and thinking that it is possible to admit that Algeria's rumors, but then why should he hang around Mrs. Brands? One of the ladies says that maybe Baron Walford has feelings for one of the Brands' daughters. Well, then another video claims that the Baron doesn't seem like the type of person who would win over the young lady's mother by asking her to dance, and another says that's also true. Another lady suggests betting whether the Baron will marry this season. and another replies that it is a funny idea, after which each of them offers their own options. One of the daughters of the main character at this time holds the crown in her hands and says that it is still there. Lily asks if they can use those wings, and Iris adds that she thinks they wore this when she was 13, asking if she thinks it would work. The protagonist looks at the costumes and says that she remembers it. Iris wanted to be a princess and cried when she got a witch's outfit, and Lily cried because Iris cried, so the main character thinks how cute they are. A few days passed after the reception at the Marquise's, and they received an invitation to another reception at the palace. The theme of the ball is a masquerade, an evening where you can transform into a warrior, a priest, a fairy, and other famous characters. You just have to want to, and you can become whoever you want. The girl understands that there were times when Iris and Lily dressed up in different costumes at home, so they can use the wings or decorations from those dresses. Again, Ashley picks up one of the dresses and asks what it is about her. Her sister replies that it is a fairy dress, and she wore it when she was 12 years old. The main character also remembers how a little while ago she told the lady that in a week there would be a masquerade in the palace. Well, the girl then turned to her mother and asked what a masquerade was. Iris asked if she didn't know what it was, and Lily insisted that it was the same as a regular ball, only in masks. The blonde replied that it was clear, and the main character understood that brat Fred didn't care about the girl's education at all. After which, Mildred turns to the girl and asks if she tried to be born as someone when she was a child, to which Ashley replies, no. Then the main character says that they need to think about her image. It will be difficult to do something new, so it would be nice to use her clothes or the clothes of the lady's own mother. The main character then asks if the girl wants them to touch her things, and Ashley replies that everything is not so, and they can also use her dress, but she hopes they won't cut them. The main character understands that there are few things left from her late mother, and Fred sold the expensive things. The dress that the girl's mother wore in her youth will probably fit Ashley in size. After which, Mildred turns to the girl again and says that if she doesn't want to, then they won't touch her mother's things. Well, after all, it seems to her that her mother is a lady. What kind of lady would she want her outfits to suit her perfectly? Therefore, he suggests thinking about how to use her dress without making unnecessary changes, to which she agrees. At this time, the other daughter turns to her mother and asks if she needs to respond to the invitation as soon as possible. Their main character realizes that she has completely forgotten. In this world, it is necessary to write responses to invitations, regardless of whether it will be consent or refusal. Mildred thinks that it is good that she has memories of the previous owner of the body, because if she had written the response herself, it would have been immediately thrown away. The main character also asks for some help after the girls decide on their looks. She also turns to Ashley and asks what she thinks about the princess outfit, and the girl replies that she will think about it a little more. Iris just sighs. At this point, Lily slows down your sister's reaction, and then they look at their mother. But then he turns to Iris and shows her the fabric and asks the lady what she thinks and if they can use it. Her interlocutor replies that it would be nice to sew it onto the fairy's dress. Lily asks if this is true and then turns to her mother and says that it seems to fit. The woman replies that indeed this can be sewn onto the dress, after which she asks if they have already decided on the image. Lily asks if they can choose any, and the main character asks, why not answer, you can transform into any character, after which the girls come up with who they will be. A little while later, the lady is faced with invitations to which she must refuse, and on the other hand, those to which she must accept by sending a confirmation. One of the daughters asks if it is true that they will answer them themselves, and the main characters do not answer, saying that yes, they need to gradually get used to doing this. The girl understands that Mildred had been helping her mother respond to invitations since she was 17, and had even corresponded with other girls of noble birth. But after her marriage to Fred, she did this less and less often, after which the girl turns to Iris and Lily and also states that they will respond to the invitation which they accept. To make it easier for them, the girls can use the answers she wrote earlier as an example. Both ladies immediately get to work, and the main character understands that they are so different even in such small things. After which Mildred turns to Ashley and tells her to come there and also offers to practice her penmanship. Ashley puzzled replies that she can write, and the main character replies that she knows but still understands that Ashley is in too much of a hurry when she writes. And of course, beautiful handwriting is not the most important thing. But since exchanging letters is an integral part of social life, it still needs to be adjusted a little. Lately, Ashley has been reading one book a week and keeping a diary where she describes her impressions every day. The main character then wonders if her handwriting will be better than it is now, after which she turns to her daughter and claims that they will practice a little more and try to write with a greater tilt to the right. The girl asks if this is true, but at that very moment, Iris rises from her seat and then abruptly leaves the room. All the other girls watch this in shock, and the main character turns to Lily and asks what happened to Iris. The girl doesn't even know how to say it after that, and the main character thinks, is it really because of Ashley? Well, the lady didn't do anything. At this time, Lily says that it would be better for her mother to ask her herself, but the main character asks if she can tell. The girl answers that she can, but this concerns Iris's feelings, and the main character understands that this is right, because at such moments, she realizes that the children are already quite grown up. Ashley at this time asks if this is all because of her. Mildred replies that it is unlikely, because she did nothing, but the blonde says that maybe her sister is disappointed in her because she writes badly. Lily immediately claims that this is not the reason, and the main character replies that yes, and she doubts that Iris left because of this. Mildred does not think that the girl expected anything from Ashley, and so responded to her problem with handwriting, after which the woman says that the ladies should continue writing, and she will go and talk to Iris, to which they agree. A little while later, the main character is already knocking on the girl's room and asking if she is there. In response, she hears only silence, after which she does not say that she will come in. When the lady opens the door, she realizes that it is not locked, and entering the room, she sees a girl on the bed who is covered with a blanket. Mildred immediately approaches her and asks what happened and why she is covered. But when the lady touches the girl, he moves away, and the main character wonders if she is crying. The lady then looks out from under the blanket and claims that she is not crying, and Mildred wonders if she is angry, after which she sees that the girl is hiding again. The main character wonders what made Iris angry and whether she did something wrong. Well, her interlocutor wonders whether her mother really doesn't understand. Mildred wonders what's going on and asks to tell her so she can understand Iris, then claims that she doesn't like the fact that her mother is so kind to Ashley. And the main character asks if she really doesn't like the fact that she treats Ashley well. Iris then screams that it understands everything, and it's so stupid, and also understands that Ashley is a pity, and they should sympathize with her. The main character thinks that they are not obliged to sympathize with her. Well, her daughter then says that mother is their mother too. She and Lily are also her daughters. Mildred asks if the girl really wants her to bully Ashley, to which you answer that you don't want to, and just know that your mother sympathizes with Ashley, and she also feels sorry for her because the girl lost her parents. But sometimes when she looks at how kind her mother is to Ashley, it irritates her. The situation they are in is all because of Ashley's father, but even despite this, her mother is kind to her. And she knows that Ashley herself did nothing wrong. But still, the main character wonders if the girl is really crying because she was thinking about it all the time. It is true that she feels sorry for Ashley, but that is not the only reason why she treats her the same way as Iris treats Lily. And surprisingly, Iris seems to be more hostile towards Ashley than Lily. Mildred then says that the lady understands that her concern for Ashley does not mean that she does not love Iris. The girl replies that she understands, but now because of her father, they are in a difficult financial situation. So how can she be sympathetic after that? Mildred replies that none of this is Ashley's fault, and the girl wonders if that's why her mother wants to say that she should forgive her too. Mildred replies that Ashley is not to blame for anything, and thinks that she is certainly to blame for breaking the dishes and ruining Iris's dress, but that the financial difficulties they are facing have nothing to do with her. Iris asks her mother if she really likes Ashley, and the main character thinks that if there was a real Mildred, she would probably start to deny everything sharply, but maybe over time she would start to think the same way as she does. The leader turns to his daughter and claims that Ashley lost her mother when she was only 5 years old. The girl replies that she thinks it's terrible, and the main character says that she's sick and now imagines that Iris is Ashley, and she is a mother who falls into eternal sleep when she's only 5 years old. After which the woman asks if the girl knows how cute she was at that age. Memories of Mildred flash through the girl's mind, and then she claims that Ashley's mother is falling into eternal sleep, leaving behind the sweetest and most beloved 5-year-old daughter in this world. That's why she worries so much about Iris that she can't close her eyes. And if she falls into eternal sleep, who will do her hair? Who will teach her how to apply makeup and choose clothes? Who will say that she needs to be careful when alone with a man, and that she can't go out into the city alone? Then she asks, what if the lady were in Ashley's place? If her beloved daughter lost her mother at 5, and then at 17, and her father, someone who would give her his love, if she had then fallen into eternal sleep with her father, then perhaps the girl would now be in the same position as Ashley. And if the girl at 17 years old was left an orphan, then she would want someone to take care of her the same way she takes care of Ashley.